Hey, everybody, welcome to the Players Take, episode 264. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host, Montrell. Montrell, how are you doing today? We literally got on here 5 seconds ago, started the recording, and hit play. So how are you, my friend?
It's been a real busy day. I was stuck
Sounds
in
like it.
Waco. Yeah.
Was it for a job site, I assume?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we've been pushing to get an extra person on the team.
Oh, yeah.
We finally got that approved, so my life should be a little bit easier once we actually hire the person. But until then, it's gonna be pretty pretty busy for the next like month or two for me. And I'm going back to school next week, so starting the second part of my 3-part adventure. So
yeah. All right. Well, it sounds like you have a very full plate, sir.
yeah.
Well, I hope you've been getting your gaming in while you can, then, because yeah, it sounds like you're not gonna have a lot of time for that in the coming weeks. But, well, Montreal, we have a decent amount of news this week, but I've been playing Rebirth, and we're probably gonna talk about that for a while. So let's fucking just cut the chit chat and let's get right into the show. How's that sound?
All right, sounds good.
All right. So, for those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice, or YouTube Music soon, whatever Google's going for. I don't fucking whatever, man. And then if you'd like to send us questions, you can do so on Twitter at The Players Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. All right, Montreal. Let's start with what we've been playing. I'll go first. A little bit this week. We're both obviously going to talk about Rebirth a bit. So, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I played this a bit later in the week last week into the weekend, but I kind of dropped this once I started playing Rebirth. I'm going to jump back into it at some point. I do want to get the platinum. There's actually an update happening, I think today, for this game where they're adding a new boss and a couple characters. So it seems like they have some content that they're going to be rolling out, almost Monster Hunter fashion, where they're going to be adding some new stuff. So I'll probably jump back into this game at some point. Like I said, I do want to get the platinum for this game. I'm pretty close to it. I don't have a ton more to do with it, so I'm going to probably work on that at some point. Raven Dawn was playing this too, ended up dropping it also when I started playing Rebirth. I hit a wall with this game last week where I came to the realization that the amount of effort I would need to expend in order to actually like make money in this game, like, through the game economy, was becoming unreasonable. It was to the point that I started looking online to see what people are doing, and it's a spreadsheet game where people
What
are
do you
literally
mean?
there are literally I found one actually. Somebody made a spreadsheet where basically it has different sheets for every single profession in the game, and the ones that generate raw materials, you put in the price that the market is currently selling those for, and then it will calculate every profession what the items that can be made with that profession, what they're worth, and whether they're worth more than the materials or less than the materials. And I went through and did this for like an hour on Saturday, and basically everything that I could possibly make in any time soon in this game was worth less than what the materials were worth. To the point that it was like, what's even the point of playing the fucking game and like doing anything, like doing any of the professions? You might as well just farm and sell your shit, and that's how you make money in the game. And it's just, so I don't want to go through the effort of figuring out how to make this shit work for myself and make money in this game. So it just was becoming too time intensive of a thing. So I decided to drop it. And when I did that, I started playing Rebirth like that day, actually, after that. So I may jump back into this game at some point, but the way the game works is you cannot farm, you can't plant stuff in your farm, on your farm, without having this resource called effort. And effort does not automatically regenerate. It's not like a mobile game in that way. You actually have to play the game in order for effort to regenerate. So you need to go kill monsters, do quests, go gather materials out in the open world, do events out in the open world. So you have to actually play the game in order for effort to regenerate, which it's a cool system in that way. You can't just sit there and farm all day and do nothing else in the game and make money and shit. But I kind of wish you could, because then I would probably still be logging into this game every day if I could do that. But I just like I have to go play for 2 hours to be able to plant stuff for a couple days. It's like I just don't want to do that right now. So so I ended up dropping the game for the moment. Like I said, I may come back into this one because the economy actually seems like it's an issue in Raven Dawn right now. The housing situation is horrible. There are no houses available that are medium or small, and it's impossible to get one because the only way, as far as I know, the only way you lose it is if you are unable to pay the 8,000 silver maintenance fee week over week, and that is going to take forever for that to happen to people because people have millions and millions of silver already in the game. Even myself, I had like 250,000 or something. It would take literally 30 weeks, I think, for me to lose my house or something like that. At that rate, so that's just, I mean, that's over half a year. It's not going to happen anytime soon. Basically, is what I'm saying. So, yeah, it's an interesting game, but it's an MMO. It's a time investment. It's a severe grind. That's just the way the game is, and once I kind of hit this wall with the spreadsheets and everything and kind of calculating like how much time I would need to actually play the game to like make a profit, it's just like I wouldn't be doing anything else. And I can't afford to do that right now, and I don't want to do that right now. So kind of moving on from that one. Other than that, Grim Dawn a little bit on the Steam Deck, not much. I mean, maybe 30 minutes to an hour for the entire week. I'm just playing this slowly, whenever I have a free moment that I decide I want to pull out the Steam Deck and play. Which is not super often right now. So yeah, and then Rebirth is the other thing I've been playing, but we'll save that for here in a bit. So what have you been playing, Montrell?
So unfortunately, I've been playing Rebirth, not unfortunately. I haven't played Helldivers.
Yeah.
As much as I wanted to, just because I kind of had to consolidate my time a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm on technically like a 2-week break from school. Either I've just been watching TV, like enjoying my Wednesdays and Mondays. So either I've just been watching TV or playing like Rebirth or something like that, or whatever the case may be. So I haven't really been playing too many games, but yeah, I have played Rebirth. I got to chapter 3. I'm in the middle of chapter 3 right now.
Wow. Okay, so I've actually passed you. Holy shit.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Me and DJ got past you. I didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. All right.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of chapter 3 right now.
Okay.
Because I actually stopped playing it too. I just haven't. To be honest with you, I just haven't really been like playing video games lately. So I'm pretty sure that will change. Like as soon as school starts up, I'm gonna play video games. But I don't know. I just haven't. I do like the game so far. I have lightened up to the game a lot since I played it. I like the battle mechanics. I like everything else. I like the game does feel a little floaty with Cloud, a little bit. I wouldn't say floaty. I would say inconsistent. I don't know what it is about Cloud in particular. He doesn't feel
good.
Well, actually, he does feel good. It's just weird. He's weird from Remake, and I understand they gave him a lot more moves in this game, and they gave him more animations, and he's like all up in the air and stuff like that, and everything of that nature.
It's just
and
it's so easy to be all over the place though in this game, like where you're like on the ground and then you if you dodge backwards and you start attacking, he starts shooting the air blades at things instead of actually trying to hit them like with the weapon up close. And then if you hold square down and it's something in the air, he'll just jump in the air and magnetize to it. Like the game's really sloppy, I feel like, in its combat. Actually, I don't know.
So I did agree with that. That was my initial assessment at first, right?
Yeah.
And maybe because I put myself through the gauntlet. I fought the Titan. I actually had the Titan. I had the ability to put the Titan 3 levels down, or like depower him like 3 times or whatever.
Yeah.
If you find all the shrines within the first region. No spoiler alert. I don't know. It's the first fucking region, y'all. I don't know what to tell y'all. But like, yeah. So if you find all the shrines, you can depower them. I took it upon myself to fight him full power on dynamic, which is
Yeah.
the hardest level
Yeah.
available right now in the game or whatever.
Mhm.
And I was bumping my head against it. To the point where I like everyone was saying like you don't have to, because you don't get anything out of it. Out of fighting out of fighting the monsters full power. I don't think there's an achievement for that. I don't think
There
there is an
isn't.
achievement.
There is not.
Yeah, so
There isn't. I don't even think there's an achievement for fighting the. You don't even need to fight them. I think you need to beat one of them,
oh, okay. Well,
get a trophy, and that's it.
yeah. So
Well, actually, sorry. Let me reframe. There is a trophy to do all of Chadley's combat challenges, which includes the
mhm,
summons. So
okay. Well, yeah, I did all of them so far up to now. So that's what I've been allocating my time. I've cleared the first region, and I've cleared all of Chatley's stuff, and I fought everybody as far as Queen's Blood up to level 3. I think
yeah,
my next level was level 4 now. So I did all that. I did all the side missions. I did all the nodes and everything. The first region is completely clear. Like I have no reason to
I
go back
did.
to the
I
first
did.
region.
I did the same thing. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, now I'm assuming after I get done with chapter 3, I'm going to be in the second region.
Yep.
So but yeah, the combat. So Cloud, he did feel unresponsive, but then I learned how to control him.
Mhm.
And it's just a rhythm you gotta kind of figure out. You gotta know when to press the square button, when to hold the square button, when to dodge. And there's a little window between when you dodge and when you press the square button to where he doesn't go float mode. I call
Yep.
it fly mode. Um, and you can kind of control that and stuff like that. And I did also figure out if you want to like go straight down to the ground again, just switch to operator mode and then or Punisher mode rather, and then he'll go straight down to the ground and he'll fight on the ground and stuff like that. So majority of the time, if I want to stay on the ground, I'm in Punisher mode, and then if I want to start floating and doing combos, I go to operator mode, and that's how
Yep.
I pretty much balance him so far. The person I still feel who was super underwhelming, compared to like remake is Tifa. I
They didn't do anything to her, dude.
Yeah, she feels super underwhelming.
She's like exactly the same from what I can
Yeah.
tell for the most part. Like they didn't really add any mechanics to her.
Maybe that's what it is, because they added mechanics
The
to
Cloud for sure.
to Cloud for
They
sure,
didn't really
and
add anything to Barrett.
yeah, nothing to Barrett.
Aerith
Aerith,
is significantly
she's
different. Yeah.
yeah, she's super fun to play. And
Yeah,
then
she's weird. She doesn't like the way doing damage with her. You have to like, it's really centered around magic for her. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
her autos do nothing basically.
yeah.
But
I figured out that you have to just kind of
you got to summon the little familiars. Yeah.
yeah, you get some of the familiars, or you can get like AP boost to get her
Yeah.
AP gauges up, and then you can do magic. I set down her little flower, and then or
Oh yeah,
what's it
the
called?
ward. Yeah, the
Yeah, the
arcade
ward,
ward. Yeah,
arcade
that does
ward,
the
and
double casting. Yeah.
yeah, and she can do some little spell casting combos and stuff like that. I actually really like Raid 13. I
He
like his
is
counter.
fun as fuck, dude.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like his counter mechanic. It's really fucking
Yes.
fun to
Well, the
play.
vengeance mode is fucking badass. I'm like starting to think you're already like making me think because I've been playing the game as Cloud and I'm not enjoying him very much, to be honest with you. Like, I
Mhm.
think I might switch to Red or Aerith and just play as them. Because yeah,
Yeah,
Tifa's still fun. Like she's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's just like they didn't really do much to her. It feels
yeah,
like, but
she feels a lot of the same. So with Tifa, I think her biggest strength is going to be around her synergy attacks, and I'll get to
yes.
those in a minute.
Well, she
But
generates ATB obscenely fast as
but does she
well.
generate that for the party or just for
No,
herself?
just for
Yeah.
herself.
So um yeah, she does generate ATB super quick. So I do like that about her. And it's actually, I think it's a blind spot, or not a blind spot, like a hidden mechanic for her, or
Yeah.
strength, is you can put magic on her and like cast a lot because she can generate.
That's what I'm saying. She's versatile because of how fast she generates ATB.
Yeah.
Um
So I mean, I've been doing that. But I believe her synergy attacks are really good because I'm starting to discover. Like I said, they didn't really do nothing with her moveset, but like she can pop up in the air off people and everything of that nature and do stuff off her synergy attacks. So
mhm.
speaking of the fucking synergy attacks, man, did they do a terrible job at explaining these
Yes,
motherfucking
they did.
mechanics.
They
And they
absolutely
are,
did.
and if you're gonna play dynamic, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna release a hard mode
There is a
later
hard
on.
mode. It's post game. It's new game
I suppose.
plus.
Okay, new game plus. All right.
Yeah.
Those attacks are key or vital
They're
because they're
better than
super.
limit breaks, dude. Like they're insane. They're crazy, and they're really easy to unlock. Actually,
Yeah,
like because
yeah,
the synergy abilities, the ones that are mapped to the guard button, they're free. Like you don't need to spend anything to do them. You
and
can
they
just
build
spam the shit out.
stagger.
You can
They
just
build,
spam the shit out of them.
yeah, and they build pressure meter and stagger
Yes, they
meter
do. Well,
insanely
and then
fucking quick.
the attacks, the ones that you need to select out of the command menu, they all have a special attribute to them. Some of them will extend stagger time if the enemy's staggered. One of them will give you unlimited MP.
Yeah, I saw that.
For a long time, by the way. I thought that was going to be short, like 10 seconds. No, dude,
No,
it
it's
was
like
30 or
a minute.
45 seconds or a minute. I was blown away by how long I had free MP for, like zero MP cost. And then the third one is what's the third one? Oh my god, I'm forgetting. Do you remember what it is?
You get a third ATB bar.
Yeah. Oh no, your limit goes up, and
Yeah.
then there's another one that gives there's one that levels your limit up, and then there's a fourth one. Yeah, that gives you a third ATB bar. Yeah.
Yeah. So the game does a terrible job of explaining the difference between abilities and are they called
They're called synergy abilities and then synergy attacks or something.
Attacks or something like that.
It's
Yeah,
such a terrible. It's so bad, dude.
So in the game also explains terribly how to build up the meter for both of them. I read in the training when you're playing with Chadley, I read the thing like 4 times, and I'm like,
so bad. Well, that's the only place too where they explain it at all. There's no other tutorial for it.
Yeah, I had to go online, so I did cheat, and I went online, and I went to like IGN or whatever, and even they said like, we know you're here because they explained this terribly, and I was like, yeah, because everybody in the comments too were like, they explained this so fucking bad, and it's vital to get through the game,
the bosses in particular,
through the bosses and everything like that, because the counter fire, that shit negates almost everything. It's actually insane how much counter fire negates. But yeah, they're super powerful. If you have been playing the game, if you haven't been using them, you're doing yourself. You're missing out on a huge part of the game, especially if you're gonna do hard mode or
more. I gotta use them more. I'm not using them enough, dude. I know it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I only did it because I challenged myself with the Titan, and like you need to do that because he has a DPS check, and if you don't do the DPS check, in his full mode, his full strength power, he wipes the entire party. So you have to do
Okay.
Yes. So you have to do the DPS check, and to do the DPS check, I need to at least do 2 synergy attacks, and then and burst all my blow through all my limits, my limit breaks. To pass the check or whatever the case may be. So yeah, that's how I discovered how powerful they were and how to counter a lot of his moves and everything of that nature. I don't think I'm gonna do another summon at full strength because that one really tested my limits. I'm like, all right, I'm not. If I don't have to do this, then I'm not gonna do it.
Well, it's the opposite for me. I did Titan weakened, and I think I'm gonna try to do Phoenix at full power because I just want to. Dude, I'm okay. Let me level set. I like the game. The game is good. So let's get that out there first.
You gotta get the disclaimers out.
I'm about to rip it to shreds a bit. Okay. The base combat, take the synergy abilities out, take the limit breaks, take the command menu. I'm just talking the swinging your weapon, dodging, blocking is really subpar. Like, I just don't. This is not a good action game. And was Remake a good action game? Probably not. I don't think it was either. And I don't necessarily think we said it was back in the day. We probably, I don't know. I'd have to go listen to us talk about it. But I think the thing is, I think it's now that we have a second game, I expected a little bit more of the foundation to be better here. And I think they're leaning, they are relying on the synergy stuff, the limit breaks, and all these other abilities in the command menu. They're leaning on that to carry the combat system in this game, and it really shows because, dude, when I'm telling you I'm out and about fighting monsters and stuff, it is impossible to read when they're gonna hit, when they're gonna fucking attack. because I can't even see them half the time. They blend into the fucking environment. Like the colors in this game are terrible, like so bad. And I to the point that I'll be running around and there, the indicator will pop up that monsters are nearby, and I'm like, what the fuck? Where? I don't even see them. Like they literally blend into the environment, and I just like the hit indicators that an attack is coming, the telegraphing on monsters. It's just not good. Like it just is not good. It doesn't feel good. Maybe I'm the bad one here, and everybody else isn't having a problem with this. I don't fucking know, but like I just don't feel like that element, because when I'm fighting the big bosses, actually, I don't have as big of an issue, like in terms of blocking and timing my blocks correctly and dodging at the right time and stuff like that. Like I'm not having as much problem with the bigger enemies, but the normal fights against just regular groups of enemies, like it's fucking brutal, dude. Like I can't, like the ones in the air in particular are the worst, where they're like you can't even see them and the attack doesn't get telegraphed. It just happens. Like it's so fast, like they'll dive bomb you and there's no chance to react whatsoever. And I don't know if you feel the same way I do to this, because the fights in the simulator are fine because the environment is blue. It's like this, it's a completely different color from the enemies.
Okay, I see what you're saying now.
So
okay,
they don't blend in as much there, and it's much easier to read the attacks and see them coming in that environment. Out in the game though, I just like, I don't know, dude. Like it's brutal for me. I mean, maybe my TV's too small. Maybe I need to change some settings or something. But
bro,
that's just how I feel so far with it.
I'm gaming on a 43-inch TV, 4K.
Yeah.
100 or 200, 240 hertz or whatever.
Yeah.
So I have a crystal clear vision. I'm sitting probably 6 feet away, 7 feet away from my TV when I'm gaming.
Yeah, I'm on a 50-inch. I don't know the exact statistics for it, but I'm on a 50-inch and I'm across the room. It might be that my TV's too small. That's part of it for sure. But I don't have this problem with other games. Like with Grand Blue Fantasy, I don't have this problem. Like with Prince of Persia earlier the year, I didn't have this problem. Like I can play those games perfectly fine from the way I normally play.
No. I think they need to incorporate an outline, because it is pretty bad. Not gonna lie. Like it's kind of crazy that no one's mentioned it. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm talking about.
Sucking this game's dick, dude.
Like
everybody's sucking this game's dick
because there isn't an outline on the enemy. Like for instance, right, when you're in the grasslands, you're fighting I think it's the ogres. I think that's what they're called.
The orcs.
The orcs.
Yeah, you have no idea what they are.
Yeah, they blend in with the environment. The wolves are fucking terrible for this.
But dude, the second area is brown, so it's horrible, man. It's so bad.
Yeah, the wolves will literally come out of nowhere for some time, and they would do their charge attack,
their spin attack. Yeah, and I'm like, where the fuck did you even come from? Like, I didn't even know you were there. It's like.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Because the game also doesn't like, I don't know. There's no indicator of how many enemies you're fighting unless you go into the command menu and use an attack that targets, so you have to pick your target and it shows you a list of how many enemies there are. That would be so helpful to know that there are 4 enemies that I'm fighting, or something like that. Like it would just show up on a portion of the screen, like top left or something. I don't know.
Well, I also don't like, I understand, right? Like I got to pay attention. And it doesn't have the effect of Grand Blue Fantasy where it's just too much stuff on the screen.
Too many particle effects.
Yeah, it doesn't have that, right? But maybe they should make the notifications for the enemy attacks a little bit more.
That's the other thing. They're not dude, it's a little bar over their head that turns red, and when you've got all this other shit going on this, I can't even see it. It's like, and that's the other thing. There are unblockable attacks in this game, and what the game does to show you that is, I think there's like an exclamation point at the end of that little title for the attack that's coming. But dude, you already can't see that, and it's like, you think I'm going to see the exclamation point? Like other games make the unblockable attacks so obnoxiously obvious, like every action game does that. It's like a basic 101 thing,
Yeah.
It should be obvious to your player that something big is coming, and it's just they didn't do it here. They didn't do it here. Like
Yeah, no,
it's
you're right. Also, it's not so. I agree with you. That it's almost the excuse that they have, right, is that it's not in full action game,
yeah.
right? So
But
that
it is. It is. I don't
no, you're
like you
right.
can
You're right.
pause. Yeah, you can pause. Okay,
Yeah,
great. Like it's an
you're
action
right.
game, bro.
You're right. So I me personally, I can't really give it that excuse, right? Because it is an action game with RPG mechanics at this point.
Mhm.
Um, and I would say the RPG mechanics are good. I think the
Yeah.
pausing, you can do strategic stuff and everything of that nature.
Mhm.
Uh, I actually like the rate of side quests that I get so far. I don't know if they get
Yeah.
obnoxious later on in the game, but the first area, the first little town area, that was a decent amount for me. Like I
It's
didn't
similar in the second area.
okay. Yeah, and I feel like they really know how to respect my time as a player, right? Um but
Yeah.
uh I agree with you 100% in the combat aspect of the game that it's lacking critical moments or parts. Like you said, the notifications. I was fighting the Titan. I would literally have to pay attention to the top of my screen when he's about to do an attack because his some of his attacks were so unreadable that I'm just like, I don't know what you're about to do next. I have to just pay attention to what you're about to do. And
Yeah.
then even he did have some patterns that I recognize. I'm like, okay, I understand this pattern or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But there was one attack that was really pissing me off, and that's because the hitbox is so fucking bad on it. It's this one attack where he swipes, he grabs you. I think it's called
Yeah.
swing or something like that.
Yeah.
And he does it, and I swear to God, Justin, sometime I would dodge completely behind him.
And he
He
still
still
hits you.
grabs me. And I'm just like, bro. And I would just pause the game and restart. Because in full mode, he does like 3/4 of your health. Like your 3/4 of your health are gone when he
Wow.
throws you.
Holy shit.
So uh,
Well,
and
the dodge is another thing that's bad in this game too, man. Like there's
I
no
don't think the dodge is a
it's not
dodge.
it's not supposed I don't think you're supposed to use it like an iframe. It doesn't have iframes.
It
Like I
doesn't have iframes.
yeah.
It's from the position that you were in. Like it just
Yes.
moves you, right? Like
Yeah, yeah, right.
because
It's like if you're in an AoE, that's where it's useful. Like an AoE
yeah,
attack's coming, that's where it's useful. If you're trying to dodge an enemy just swinging a sword at you, it's not useful there. Like you
yeah.
should be
This
blocking.
is this is
You know?
not the Final Fantasy 16 dodge. Like you don't get
No,
rewarded.
no. That's and dude, this is where I think we would get in trouble because I think the combat, the base combat, just the foundational combat elements of Final Fantasy 16 are far superior to this game. Far superior.
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, they didn't have the battle director of Devil May Cry 5, so I think that,
Fair. That is fair. That's fair. That's fair.
So
He works for the same company though. They couldn't have asked some questions,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
you know.
Um, I and it's and you know
Do you
what?
think people would agree with that statement though, based on what you've seen online?
If I tweet that, I'll probably get
We would get
ratioed.
you get
Yeah,
slammed, right?
I would
I
get
think so
ratioed.
too.
Yeah. I think people are still on the Final Fantasy VII high. And even then, our my comments would probably never be justified because they'll probably stealth patch it. Because I'm pretty sure they are aware of these problems.
They
Like
probably are. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure playtesters are like, hey, like the game's cool, but what about notifications and stuff like that and everything of that nature? And it's not like, oh, you want the game easier, you want
That's
accessibility.
not it at all.
Maybe it is an accessibility mode thing or whatever, but it's like it's not like I want the bricks painted yellow so I can know where to climb. It's
Yeah.
this is not that. This is like, I mean, Sekiro had really good tells on when you had an unblockable or a Makiri counter coming up, and they were the same, like symbol, but you had that's when like you learn the enemy's movements come into hand. Like, okay, I can't block this because I tried to Murky counter this and it didn't work, so I'm just gonna move out the way because this is unblockable or whatever the case may be. and that comes through with trial and error. And it's the same thing with this game. But the problem is, like with the wolves, in my opinion, the wolves right now are like, I hate those enemies. When I see them, I beeline straight to them to get them out the fight, because not only do um they home on you, like their attacks literally home on you. If you
Yeah.
dodge, you clearly
They
dodged it,
just follow you.
and
Yeah,
they just
there's
follow you.
no yeah. Right.
Yeah, so they can pin you down, and I fucking
Yeah.
hate how it just stops the combat. And that was the same thing with the Titan as well. A lot of his attacks, he does this one unblockable like instant move attack where he like just charges at you, and if you dodge it, if you don't dodge at the right moment, he can just home at you, and it's stupid. And the game has like, well, so far for me, the game has a lot of those, in my opinion, on certain enemies. Um, I just don't like that. I don't know. I don't like when my dodge button doesn't work. I
I agree.
understand that there's other, well,
I'm a
Montrell,
dodge whore, man. In
yeah,
action games, I dodge more than block. I've
yeah,
always been
and
that way.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
people are gonna say, well, guys, you're supposed to use the counter fire, guys. That's what the counter fire
Yeah.
synergy skill is for.
Or yeah, we both love Sekiro, right? And the dodge in Sekiro is dog shit. Yes, but the game establishes that very early, and like basically tells you don't dodge. Like
Yeah,
um,
it,
that's not what this game does at all. This game has that does not have a Lady Butterfly esque fight that teaches you the game mechanics. Like
well,
there's
the
nothing like that. You know.
so the problem I have, if you're not using Red 13 or Cloud, you have no ability. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? You can perfect block. So that's where a lot of people will probably get us right. So I don't know if you know how to perfect block, but it's
Oh,
pretty
I've been
much
doing it constantly. Like
okay.
I've switched to blocking as much as I can.
Yeah.
But that's where the problem of timing comes in, where you can't see the attacks well, and the enemies have very strange attack patterns in this game. Like they're not straightforward for the most part, where they'll hold their weapon back, and you think they've arched it all the way, and they're about to swing, and then oh no, I'm arching it a little bit more, and then I swing, and you miss the perfect block. Like there's tons of shit like that in the game. The wolves are a perfect example where they do this
Mm-hmm.
spin attack where they jump at you first, don't attack, they jump at you, then they spin. Like there's a lot of weird timing elements like that with the enemies in this game, like constantly doing shit like that. There's
Yeah.
a lot of attacks you cannot block, and it's not clear that you cannot block them. There was an enemy I remember on a side quest that was just spitting like elemental attacks at me, and it didn't matter if I was blocking, dodging, or what. I was taking full damage from every single attack. Like there was just no way to avoid it. It was just like ridiculous.
And that's
So
that's the
there's just weird shit like that in the game. It's just it feels sloppy. Like
yeah, and
that's you
that's
know
where I feel like if I'm playing, like Barrett has Barrett has like, steel skin and stuff like that. He
Yep.
has stuff to damage mitigating stuff.
Yes.
But if I'm playing Aerith or Tifa, I'm pretty much fucked. Like if I'm playing against an enemy, like you said, with the fucking magic that can spam it and you can't perfect block it,
Mm-hmm.
Tifa's fucked. Like she has no mechanics. Even her at least I haven't unlocked them yet. Even her team skills, her synergy skills, they have no ability to like do a counter fight or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't have that. Aerith, like she has bodyguard, I think that's what it's called, or something like that. But outside of that, like if you don't perfect block, her dodge is super slow. Her
Yeah.
teleport is like it's on a cooldown, it's like a 1 or 2 second cooldown or something like that. Or
It's
maybe
more
even
than
three.
that, actually.
Yeah, maybe it's
There's
like
an
5
ability
seconds.
on a weapon I just got that reduces the cooldown of that ability by 2 seconds. So
Okay.
it's got to be higher than 2 seconds, I would think.
Yeah, so maybe it's like 5 or 10 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you don't have that, I feel like, and then I don't like to use the block on Aerith, right? Because if I use the bodyguard block, I feel like the other party member takes full damage.
Yeah.
So it's
So what
like
was even the point of blocking?
exactly like
Yeah.
I I don't like it, and
I
they
think
need
I'm gonna.
more.
I have to start. I think I'm gonna switch my party up because I've been playing with Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith primarily, and I just don't think that's a good comp. Honestly, I think I'm actually gonna switch Barrett in, and then maybe play as Red and play with Aerith as the third because Barrett is a fucking uber tank, bro. In this game,
Yeah,
like
yep.
his HP is nuts. Is just fucking nutty.
Yeah,
Same with
I
his
use him.
defense.
I use him as a mage tank, if that makes any sense. He's like a mage DPS tank. He's
Yeah.
a weird combination because he can actually taunt people and stuff like that.
Yes. Well, he
And
has an ability that when the party gets low, he taunts if the rest of the party gets low HP or something like that. He'll
okay,
taunt the enemies on him automatically,
yeah,
which is really cool.
yeah, and I don't like for an RPG game. See, this is I just don't see these complaints, man. I don't. And people are complaining about the side mission stuff. I don't see these complaints about the battle system.
Wait, what? Okay, interesting.
Um, yeah, the people are saying there are too many side missions or whatever. But
Okay.
um, I don't think. I think the AI sucks. I'm just gonna
I
say
was
it.
gonna say it. I was
I
waiting. I haven't brought it up yet. They're so
I thi-
bad. They're
I think
so
the
bad.
AI sucks, and
They don't even attack half the time,
bro,
dude.
they
Like
don't.
Tifa just stands there until something gets staggered, and then she activates, and she becomes an insane machine gun. But if something isn't staggered, she's just standing there and dodging. Like that's all she does. It's so weird. I don't know why that's like that. Aerith is okay, but she
Yes,
doesn't do anything unless you tell her to. Obviously, all of her damage comes from spells, like using spells or abilities for the most part. So you have to go manually tell her to do that, or you need to put the materia in that auto uses the
and
ability it's attached
and,
to.
and that's where I get upset.
Yeah.
Why do I need materia to
It's
compensate for your shit AI?
it's an overt omission that the AI is bad. It's overt omission of that shit would not be in the game if the AI was competent.
Because I keep Aerith. I want to use Aerith as a mage healer, right?
Mm-hmm.
She gets
Yeah.
Cura. Her Cura's upgraded now, so it's like, or her Cura's upgraded to Cura, and I'm like, okay, cool. I don't need to use Cloud as my because to be honest with you, Cloud is the healer. Like until a
He
certain
was for
point,
me. Yeah.
he's the main healer, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't. I was trying to figure out for the love of God. I'm like, I was searching, Justin. Before I go online, I look at every piece of menu. I'm like, there has got to be something for like AI settings, bro. There's got to
They
be
need
something.
a gambit system. It kind of feels like it.
They do. Or something akin to maybe like Tails, where you can specify
Like
what to do.
tactics, yeah, some kind of
Yeah,
tactics menu or something. Yes, no,
yeah.
totally, dude. I totally agree with you. The AI is really bad. I stood there and watched when I died one time, and I was in the in a fight, and Tifa and Aerith were both alive, and I was just watching them fight, dude, and they just were like, they weren't like, they would dodge, and then Tifa would go punch punch, and then she'd just stand there and she'd wait for an attack, dodge, punch, dodge, punch. Like she's not doing a combo or anything. Like, and obviously, her punches are really weak, right? They're doing like 7 damage, which is nothing. She needs to do her full combo in order to actually like hurt things, and the AI is not doing that at all. And God forbid, like Aerith, like does her charge attack where she summons the familiar. Like hell no, the AI is not doing any of that stuff, dude.
Yeah, like and then that's when I learned about auto casting, the auto cast materia, the auto cast unique materia. So
Yes.
Tifa would do, um, if I'm not playing Tifa and I switch to her, she almost automatically has her chi at like max level because she's
Yep.
auto casting her fucking unbridled
Yeah,
whatever
wrath
rage or
or
whatever
whatever. Yeah.
wrath or whatever it's called. So she's constantly casting unbridled and
But
or
that's all
whatever the
she
case is.
does. This is the issue with the auto use materials is they will use that skill exclusively the second they get a materia bar, or an ATB bar rather. Sorry, and like so that precludes you from saving it and using it on other stuff. This is why they need a tactics menu of some sort. Like you should be able to tell them, hey, save. Don't use your first ATB bar. Only use abilities when you get to 2 or something like that. So that
Mhm.
they always have one available, because that's become a huge problem for me. I need to go turn those materia off because I have Aerith auto casting Cura or Cure with her, and she's just expending all her MP or constantly. Like she literally has 0 MP all the time because she's just constantly healing people. Which is great. it's making it so I don't have to worry about it too much, but she's not doing anything else, with her magic. So
Yeah, and it's I don't know. I think the counter would be like, "Oh, you're supposed to swap teammates. That's the point." And it's like I can't remember in Tales of Arise because you swap teammates mid battle without hassle.
I believe so.
I can't remember.
But that game has way better combat than this game.
What?
I believe that. I mean, dude, I said this game is subpar. One of the best parts of Tales of Arise is the combat.
Was the
Now,
combat, yeah.
not the way it controls, not the spongy enemies that take 15, 25, 30 minutes to kill.
Yeah.
That makes the combat horrible, but the actual controlling your character and attacking and shit and staggering and using arts and stuff, that feels great in that game.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
that aspect of the game is really good.
It's just the enemies have way too much HP, so you're sitting there for 30 minutes doing the same fucking shit over and over again. This game is not anywhere near that smooth. It's just not. And I can't believe, dude, I've heard no one talk about it. I just no one's talking about this with this game, And honestly, I'm looking at the Metascore for the game at 92 right now, and I'm really giving it the side eye at the moment. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I haven't played the whole game. I got to get through the whole game. Maybe I'll feel differently by the end. Maybe the story really, really pulls this game through to make it a 92. But right now, the combat is not there, and that's what I'm doing most of the time. Is the combat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, man. Like, how this is what I'm talking about. This is what I was talking about last week. My friend Tori, who was like really good at action games and fighting games and stuff like that. I mean, he said he always gives us a whole synopsis of like what he thinks of the games he's playing or whatever, or even the movies he's watching. He put us in our group chat or whatever. And I appreciate a lot of his feedback, but I just can't feel. He said to me, and he did say that, he's like, to me, this is like the perfect game for him. And I'm like, I get that. I just don't understand how you didn't miss these. I saw this within the first 5 hours of the game.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is glaringly obvious. And I feel like if this was any other game, it would have been glaringly obvious to anybody else. Like
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth,
but it's Final Fantasy fucking 7, right? And I feel like, and this is a totally different genre and game and everything like that, right? But watch when Rise of the Ronin comes out in about 2 weeks or next week.
Yeah.
They're already shitting on the game. It comes out in 2 weeks. They're already 2 weeks from recording. They're already shitting on the game, right? People are like, "Oh, it looks like a fucking PS3 game. Where's the graphics at? I can't believe they're charging us $70 for this game." And I'm like,
and they're gonna have infinitely better combat than this game.
Yeah,
and I
I'm
guarantee
like,
you that.
Yeah, and I'm like, bro, we were all just yelling that we want better games at a cheaper, budget for the developers so that they can stay alive and make more better games. And this game, Rise of the Ronin, is one of those games where I feel like it's made at a cheaper development budget, but it's going to get significantly worth its budget that it's going to make, right? But yeah, it's like people are gonna judge that game like, oh, the fucking voice acting sucks or the story sucks or whatever.
Or the graphics.
The graphics.
Meanwhile,
suck,
Rebirth doesn't look good either. It doesn't.
If you play it on performance mode, it does not look good.
And I am playing on performance mode. Yeah, it does not look good. It looks significantly worse than Remake. And Remake was on PS4.
And I think that's because
there's an understandable reason for that. It's an open world game.
Yeah,
it's an open world game. It's totally understandable. I'm just saying that is reality. This game looks worse than Remake.
And you know what? I personally don't mind it because I think the game is.
I don't either.
It's fun, and graphics aren't everything to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the graphics are worse, right? But I think that's a great sacrifice because I think the combat is really good. But there are certain aspects of the combat that I don't like. And I don't. I say that, but I feel like Rebirth Remake was a lot more um I don't want to say balanced because it sounds like the combat's overpowered, but it's not. It was more balanced in its approach towards
It was more
combat.
focused.
Yeah, that's
There's
a
too
good
much
word.
going on in this game, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, like you talked about it last week with the synergy attacks, right? Being mapped to the block button. That's awkward as hell, number one. Number two, why does Square do 3 different things depending on what the fuck you're doing? Like, there's more buttons on the controller that you guys can utilize in combat. R2 and L2 aren't used for shit. Like, use them. Like, I don't understand. You know, like it kind of drives me crazy a little bit. Also, why doesn't this game have a jump button? Like, come on, man. It's an open world game, you know? You have enemies that are in the air. You didn't need to map the fucking, jumping into the air to square. You could have just made it a jump button on a different button, you know? And the whole thing with Cloud where you dodge and he does the air cutters at enemies like the range attack.
Hmm.
They could have done that in a different way too. I don't know, like, why is that map to square? It's just muddying. It muddies the combat where I'm sure a lot of players have this experience playing as Cloud where you're trying to do something and you end up doing the wrong thing because you like don't fully grasp the way the button is the button mapping is,
Yeah,
and
and that's where I think it's like I think that's where the mastery of Cloud comes in, and not to like talk down what you're saying. I think the mastery of Cloud comes into how you how the timing of when you press said
yeah.
button and
And
how you
I,
press
I
it.
already, I'm not saying I'm having a problem with this personally. Like, I
Yeah,
got it down. I'm just saying in general, like, you they didn't have to do it this way, is what I'm
bro,
saying.
I think this is what I honestly think. I think Final Fantasy 16 scared them so much, and
Yeah.
and yes, it came out last year, and yes, this came out this year, and they could have. I think they changed some stuff. Me
Yeah.
personally, I do. I think Final Fantasy 16, as far as combat, scared them so much because people were complaining about that game's combat so much that it wasn't an RPG, and it wasn't. It wasn't an RPG at all. Um, anything like that.
Yeah.
Um, I felt like they wanted to do a balance between 16 and 15. Um,
Yeah.
my opinion, I think it leaned a little bit too much towards 15. That's
Well,
my opinion.
this game is the opposite of 16, right? 16 is an action game masquerading as an RPG. This game is an RPG masquerading as an action game, you know?
Yes, that's actually
Um,
that's a good example. Kingdom Hearts 3 has better combat than this game. Said it.
Definitely.
Boom.
Even the shitty version that I played is better than this, bro. Like, that's what I'm saying. I like, dude. I mean, I use the word subpar, with meaning less than average. Like, I don't think the combat in this game is good. Like, I really don't. I am not having a lot of fun with it so far. It's the element of the game that I want to do the least, and unfortunately, it's the one I have to do the most. It sucks.
Uh,
Because the rest of the game I like a lot for the most part. I
see,
don't know.
that's
Is there anything
funny.
else you want to say on combat before we move on to other stuff? Because we've
I
been
mean,
talking about
I
combat for a while.
yeah, I actually like the combat a lot. I think the game doesn't put you in enough combat situations like to test your combat skills. The
I just don't think they're
fights,
interesting. The fights against normal enemies out in the wild are pointless.
yeah,
Like, they're
they're
just so
they're not
dumb.
fun.
Like,
They're
they're
not.
not fun, and
Yeah, they're not.
that's what you're doing most of the time. The boss fights are actually pretty good. I like them a lot for
Yeah,
the most part. I liked the snake fight. I like the one. I like Titan. I liked a couple of the other ones I've done. And the one in the mine that you do is really fun. Which is cool because you're actually forced to use characters that you might not have been using up to that point, which was really cool. And you only have 2 party members. It's a cool fight though. Like, it was a good fight. So I just like, that's why the normal fights, the bread and butter meat potatoes fights that you're doing against regular enemies just aren't that interesting.
and I don't
Um,
think there's enough like unique bosses in the world. People are gonna say, "Well, Montreal, the actual Chadley's like variants you can do," and I'm like, I don't think
They're
those
like
are.
they're mini bosses. But some of them most of them are stupidly easy. The only ones I've
Exactly.
had, the only ones I've had trouble with are the lightning wolves that you fight in the first area in the grasslands because they like paralyze you.
Yeah.
And they have no telegraphing on their attack whatsoever, and they literally just flash charge through you. and they paralyze you, and it's like you can't even block it half the time. So that's the only one I've had trouble with, though. Otherwise, for the most part, the rest of them have been like really stupidly easy.
The most challenging thing for those have been for me, like all of them were easy to me. It was actually just completing the challenges. Like I had to fight them
Yeah.
multiple times.
Well, that's what I mean. Killing them wasn't a problem. It was actually doing all 3 challenges at once. That's
Yeah,
the real challenge there.
yeah.
So, which I do
Yeah, but yeah,
appreciate.
we can move on to something else. As far as the game,
Yeah, so I want to talk about the open world design. So, this is the other part of the game that I am 50-50 on, because this game is an Ubisoft game through and through in its open world design. There are just Ubisoft towers, and they completely unlock everything that you can find. And early in the game, when you get out into the open world for the first time, I was confused about the game, because I texted you and DJ and I was like, is this game like really empty to you guys, or is this just me? And you were mentioning stuff and I was like, what is he talking about? Like, what is this shit? And I just hadn't gotten far enough into the story for them to unlock the open world like things that you do in the
yeah.
game. I was running around before that, and it's like that decision to do that, it's not a big deal ultimately in the grand scheme of the game, but I feel like that is such a weird thing to do. Why are you locking your ability to explore the open world to story segments when you have unleashed people into the open world to run around? I don't understand that. Like, that just seems like a miss from a design perspective. Like, can you imagine Xenoblade doing that when you get to the Bionis leg for the first time in the first game, and you get so excited and you're just running around that zone, and like, yeah, oh yeah, you can't fight this unique enemy yet. You haven't gotten far enough in the story, buddy. He's not even there. Like, you can't even see him. It's like, what's the point of that? I don't understand. So that was annoying. Number one. Number two, the things you get to do in the open world are fine. They're cool enough. There's nothing like offensive about any of them in particular. Like, they're normal open world activities for the most part. But I think my issue with this game's open world is there's really nothing interesting to do for the most part, outside of like the caches that you can find, outside of those markers on the map. There's no like hidden things. There's no chests just randomly floating around in places for the most part. Um, it's just like you go to the markers and that's it. Like, that's the open world. So from a open world design perspective, I really don't think it's passable, but I don't think it's anything innovative or special really in that regard. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Um, yeah, it's passable. I'm glad that it doesn't annoy me. It
There
seems
isn't too much of it, to your point.
yeah,
Yeah, it does
I don't.
respect your time in that way, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't mind the Ubisoft Tower shit. The problem with
I
the
don't either. I
Ubisoft,
don't think that's bad. I'm not hitting on that because I think it's bad. It's just
yeah, no.
it's just what
I'm
it
just
is.
I'm explaining why I
Yeah.
don't like it in
Sorry.
like Assassin's Creed games or
Go
whatever the
ahead.
case may be. Because like when I hit the Ubisoft Tower and like or the Eagles Tower or whatever in Assassin's Creed, there are like 20 things in like a 2 mile radius. And I'm like, bro, I don't feel like
Yeah.
I don't want to look for the little coin and then the feather and then
Yeah.
the fucking and it's like and then there's achievements for each one. I'm like, bro, like that was the big problem I had with Black Flag, which is actually one of my favorite Assassin's Creed games besides Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Like I would do the tower or you know get to a certain point in the ship and then you can climb to the top of your ship and do the eagle thing or whatever, right? And then yeah, you can dive underwater and everything like that. And there's a whole subsection of underwater shit to do. And you're like, bro, and I'm like, oh my fucking god. It was just a lot to do. I never 100% achieved that game because I played it on Xbox. I never got 100% achievements because I was just so fucking tired.
It's just too much of it.
Yeah, and and then other game is like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, right? We both liked that game until I zoomed out of the map and I saw this game
It's like as big as like base World of Warcraft, like legitimately has that many zones. And I was like looking through them. They all have level ranges. And I'm like, what is this? Why is this so big? Holy fuck, dude. And it ended up pushing me off the game because it's just too large, you know?
It's too big. Like it's too much.
Because the open world in that game is actually pretty good to explore.
Yeah,
in Odyssey, but yeah, there's just too much of it.
And yeah, and like I said, this game does a really good job at respecting your time. So when I do the Ubisoft Tower thing, Chatley says, "Hey, you did this," and uh, and then I do the little stuff, and then that's it. Like I don't really feel like my time was wasted. I get some experience or some gold or a chest or whatever the case may be, or some materials that I actually use. Um,
Yeah, and it only takes a few minutes to do each activity. It's really quick.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and I
you
feel
know,
like they took the remake model and they kind of actually improved it where they made the world bigger but still respected your time.
mm.
I actually didn't mind the side quest at all. At least on the first region, I didn't mind it. I was skipping some of the dialogue though. I did find myself doing that, and that wasn't like it
On the
wasn't like I
side
was like,
quests.
yeah, it
Hmm.
wasn't like I was trying to do it. I was just like, all right, I mean,
Yeah.
I would
So.
read it, and then I'm
Mhm.
like, all right, I already know what they're about to say, so I'm gonna keep going or whatever the case. Now, if it was an interesting side quest, I would be like, okay, I'm gonna listen to what this person has to say or whatever the case may be. But majority of the time, like I did find myself like not really paying attention to what they really had to say. I did think some of the side quest characters are interesting. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. It's just
I think
it's
they're more for fleshing out the party. I don't think that the conversations with the characters that you're doing the job for are very interesting, but there's a lot of exposition in some of the quests where the party is interacting with each other.
yeah.
And that's where the side quests are pretty interesting for me. Like there was one with where Barrett was talking about his daughter or something, and you were helping. This is in the second region. You're like helping somebody, and there's actually some interesting dialogue there, and it's some actually funny dialogue as well. Also, so I don't think the side quests are like they're not Witcher 3 level by any stretch of the imagination, but they're also not bad either though. I think they're fine. Um,
Yeah, no,
personally.
yeah. I don't think they're bad. Yeah, they're just weird because they are for the party to be fleshed out. That is a good point. Um, or either fleshing out the world or whatever the case may be. Yeah, there were some funny moments like where you meet that one girl that you met back at
Oh,
Sector 7.
Kyrie, yeah.
You carry. I thought she was really funny. I thought that whole uh part was like that mission was very funny and stuff like that. Um, but then yeah, there are some like I didn't really care for like I think his name's Billy,
Oh
and his
yeah.
sister, and I really didn't really care for that. Like I was just like, oh okay, that's what happened. Oh my god, sob story, whatever. And
I didn't mind that one actually. I like that.
I
I thought
just
that was
I
it
did
was a sweet quest, like the end of it.
well because they set it up right. Like you can't. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, so I'm just going to try to speak in code. Hopefully, you can kind of decipher. They set it up to where you can actually like maybe do this, and like there's still a chance. And then they immediately cut it like, oh, well, actually, no, they actually did this. And it's just been me and my sister ever since that situation happened. So I'm like, why bring them up at all? They're already like, that situation's already done. Like, I can't do anything about it. Like, why are
Yeah.
y'all being anal about it? And then, like, there was one part where they mentions another guy or something like that they were looking for, but then they just never elaborated on it. I'm like, maybe I come
Yeah.
back to that or whatever the case may be. So maybe that's the thing. I was just kind of like annoyed by that or whatever. But I actually just really didn't care for those two characters. Maybe I just don't care. And it's some characters that's not gonna jive with me. And those two characters, I was just like, I really don't fucking care about at all.
Hmm.
Like, just give me my chocobo and leave me the fuck alone. But yeah, I don't know. Um, I thought the side quests were pretty good. I think the story is okay. Uh, I do like.
It's really slow so far.
Actually, I like that.
I do too.
You know why I like that? Because it gives me an excuse to actually go around and explore. It gives
The
a
open
party
world.
excuse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like the world is at on fire right
There's
now.
no
Man.
dissonance or like, yeah, oh, the city's about to be attacked imminently, and we go spend 20 hours running around the open world doing side quests, and then we go do the battle. It's like
Yeah,
no, there's none of that.
like a Grand Blue Fantasy where the city is literally on fire and you can you
And
can
you can
still
go, yeah, hey, I'm gonna go fight this orc captain, real quick.
so I do like that. I do like how it's more of just an adventure and I like that shit. I like how
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah, it's
No, and
not
I think that's where the game. I think where the game excels is that the story for me so far, and the more purposely designed kind of set piece period parts of the game, where it's
Hmm.
like a linear part of the game. Like the mine was really good. I actually really liked that dungeon. And then the story segments where you're locked in, you can't go to the open world for periods of time. Like that seems to be the breakup of the game, where it's like there's a section of the game where you go to the next region and you unlock the open world, and that's when you're supposed to do it. And then there's like a point in the story where it cuts off and you can't go back to the open world for a while. Like
Yeah.
and they've done that a couple times now. And I think that's where the game is really good, is the like hand designed kind of set pieces that they have going, which is very similar to the first game. The first game was really good at that as well. Except the thing with the first game was that the whole game was that, though, for the most part. In the first game, which is why the game was so good, I think, is that here the open world is not as good as those more linear portions of the game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know. I like the flow of the story. It's really good. I like the flow. It's nice to meet a game that has an outline. Like you can tell they outlined this game very
Yeah.
carefully, and I appreciate it. I appreciate the writing and everything of that nature.
Let's save the spoiler talk. Like, if we want to do spoiler talk, let's do that at the end of the episode so people can
Yeah.
get out if they don't want to hear it. I want to talk about a few other things though. Chadley, I hate this motherfucker. I just want to punt him off
Okay.
of the nearest cliff.
Oh my
Like,
god. You're
and
not the only one.
can somebody, for the love of God, can somebody fucking explain to me why this motherfucker made a gender bent version of himself as a digital avatar that he himself fucking hates? Can somebody explain this to me? Where like Maya's talking to you and Chadley gets annoyed at her and tells her to shut up, and it's like, bro, you made her. What the fuck? Why does she look like you? I don't understand. Like, what is this? It's so
I
fucking weird.
I tweeted, is there any way to shut Chadley the fuck up?
Yeah.
And it was because I was frustrated with the Titan fight. And every time I had to go out and adjust my stuff, my battle tactics or whatever, and then come back in, he would give me like 20 fucking tips on what to do.
Don't get
And
hit, friend.
yeah, like, oh, you can change materia. Blah, 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 blah. How about you upgrade your materia? Blah, 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 blah.
He
Hey,
sounds
when
like
you're on the
fucking
map,
Pathfinder from Apex. Like, Jesus Christ.
he reminds me of Pi from fucking Pyman from fucking
Oh yeah.
Genshin Impact,
Genshin
bro. Like,
Impact.
shut the fuck up. I don't care. Like, just
Yeah.
let me do what I want to do. Um, outside of that, I really don't mind him too much. But yeah, when you have to interact with him, I just think he talks way too fucking much.
Yeah. I don't know
I
why they
think
felt a need to insert him into every side activity in the game,
they needed to get an excuse for you to do the side activity. I don't know.
Yeah, but they could
I
have
feel
come
like
up with something better than this. He could have been included in some of them, not all of them. Like, he's part of all of them.
well, I feel like some of the animations should be skippable, right?
Yeah.
Like when
Right.
I'm doing the towers, right, and you put the gun
Yeah.
up to the tower, like that animation, I
That
saw it
takes 30
already.
seconds every time. Yeah, you can't. Like, I get it. Yeah, he's inserting the thing into the thing and it's activating the tower. Great.
Yeah, and like I get the mini game for like you're scanning a rock or wherever
Oh
the
my
fuck.
god. You're pressing triangle 3 times. It's not a mini game. Like, this is what I'm talking about. It's like bog standard open world activities, It's just like, "Oh, ooh, wow, I'm
But
timing when I press X for the
even
Titan crystals.
even I notice it.
Ooh."
Yeah, even I
Like,
notice it. Right, I'm just like I'm softening the blow because it's Final Fantasy because I'm scared of the fans. That's what I'm
yeah.
scared of.
I'm not. I
Like,
don't give a shit.
but no, like I agree with you. Like this is like 2012 shit that we're doing, and and everybody's like, "This is a 9 out of
No,
10."
this is, dude,
Whoa!
Montrell. This is the meme. This is the ooh, Japanese. Ooh, like, ooh, they're making us press triangle in a Japanese game. Ooh, like, it's like it's not good stuff, dude. Like, I think what I will say for the open world activities, the proto relic part for each zone, the 2 zones so far, I've done those
Mhm.
very strong. It's basically a side quest.
Yeah,
And it's
I do
actually the
like
most
those.
involved one that they have for each region. And the second regions one is really cool. It introduces a new mini game on top of Queen's Blood. Like it's a different mini game from Queen's Blood, and it's actually got its own mechanics and stuff. Like I'm sure you'll be able to do more of it over the course of the game, but so that's really interesting. I'm wondering what the other few regions will have in that regard. But yeah, sorry, go ahead. I think I
No,
cut you off.
um, yeah, no, I don't know. You're right. It's just Japanese. For a lot of the side quests, actually, for a lot of the stuff in this game is Japanese. I feel like
Queen's
other.
Blood?
I actually like Queen's Blood, but it is Gwent. But
No,
it's not Gwent per se.
it's I don't think it's as good as Gwent, personally.
It's more simpler than Gwent.
I think it's simpler. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's more simplistic. The game ultimately, they have all these mechanics in the game, but the game, every match of the game you play, literally comes down to how fast you can take over the enemy territory, so they can't place cards. That's it. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Everything else you're doing is basically completely irrelevant. Like,
yeah, I figured that out like super early. I had to be aggressive.
Yeah.
Instead, play defensive. I actually like the mini game that was in Integrate. Did you play that one where you had to put the minis on the table?
Is that Fort Condor? Is that because I haven't played it? Yeah, so that's the mini game that's in the second region.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, how many mini games are gonna be in this fucking game that are this robust? We haven't even got to Gold Saucer yet, you know? Like how many mini games did they put in this fucking game? You know?
Yeah, I actually like that game a lot. That game, I was like, man,
no, it's fun.
They made a Warhammer game like that. Phew,
yeah,
love it.
It's fun. Yeah, they should make like a little mini like $5 or $10 game of that. You know?
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. It was just really, the game is so weird because I like the game a lot, but it's like right now, strong 8.
That's exactly where I am too. Strong 8. That's exactly
right now
how
it's
I
a
feel.
strong 8. I actually, the moment to moment gameplay or the moment to moment stuff, as far as like combat, not side quests. So it's weird, right? So Final Fantasy 16, the side quests fucking suck. Like we all know that.
Yeah.
I think the open world sucks. I actually like the characters a lot. Both of these games like grade that high for me. Like I like the characters a lot. But voice acting, hands down, not even close. It's Final Fantasy 16. Like it's not even fucking close. It blows Final Fantasy VII out the water.
That's the thing I've noticed too, is I don't think the characters are very emotive.
Thank you.
Whether they're in side quests or even in the main story, it's better. It's better in certain areas. It's weird. It's inconsistent. I think
inconsistent.
There have been certain chapters where the characters are very emotive and it feels really good. But then there's other areas of the game where the characters are just kind of really monotone.
And I don't remember Remake being like this.
I don't either.
I remember, I actually went back and listened to the episode, and I said, hey, I actually like Cloud a lot more in Remake because he's a lot more
he was like
expressive.
cracking jokes and
man.
And he does that in this game too sometimes. That's my point. It's like inconsistent. There's periods of the game where he's cracking jokes. He's making fun of Tifa or something, you know, and like he makes her laugh, and it's like it's a cute moment. Like there are moments like that happening in the game, but they're really inconsistent though. There are times where Cloud is just like a robot, you know.
Yeah, and I don't like that.
Or even Aerith or Tifa are robots, you know. It's like it's weird because those characters are not really like that, you know, and that's why it's weird.
Exactly. And to be honest with you, the one person I expected to be a robot, Red 13, is the most emotive out of all of them. And him and Barrett are like,
him and Barrett are saving the party for me right now. Like,
like
they're funny. They're funny. They say the funniest thing. Like Barrett, I love Barrett. He's such a fucking cheeseball, and I love every bit of it, dude. Like it's amazing.
He's a big teddy bear. You can tell he
really
cares.
Is, dude.
He cares about everybody at the party. Like,
he's so intimidating looking, and he's literally the most empathetic and like lovable. You know, like it's great.
So yeah, I like that. Um, but yeah, like I think the combat wise for me is Final Fantasy 16 uh as well. I think this game needs a couple more patches as far as like combat. They need to work out some of the bugs. I especially don't like it was weird. I don't know if it was a bug or something like that, but for a while when I was guarding with Cloud, my synergy skill thing would not pop up. I was getting really upset. I was like, "Why is it not popping up?" But then it started popping up, and I don't know. Maybe it was just me. I don't
Well,
fucking
had
know.
you learned a synergy skill with him yet?
I
Because
thought
it
I
won't
did.
show up. It won't show up if they don't actually know one with somebody actively in the party. By the way, so if
Okay,
you had learned one with Tifa and Tifa wasn't in the party, the menu won't show up.
okay, maybe that's what it was
So
then.
that might have been what was happening. I know because I had the same problem. I was like, when I was playing with Aerith, it's popping up with Aerith. What the fuck? Like Cloud's not showing up. And then I went and looked at my skills, and yeah, I hadn't learned anything with Aerith yet. Like with
Okay,
him.
that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, because now I got synergy skills with everybody, so now it pops up all the
Yeah.
time. But yeah,
Yep.
like the early stages, it was not popping up at all. And the game really doesn't explain that to you. Like that's what I'm talking about. The game
Mm-hmm.
just, and I just feel like they get away with it, man. They keep getting away with it. Like,
You can't
well,
keep getting away with it.
and then, like people are gonna be like, "Well, you can't blame Nomura, blah blah blah." And it's like maybe it's not Nomura's fault, but I'm gonna blame Nomura.
He's the director of the game.
I'm gonna blame the
Actually, he's the
director.
creative director. He's not the director, but
He's not the
still.
director. Yeah, he's the creative director. I think he did a really good job as far as like changing expectations and everything of that nature. And
Mm-hmm.
he did a good job appeasing to new fans, like obviously like DJ who really didn't play the old games like that. And then like for us who played the old games and like some of the older content, like he's really doing a good job at like melding those worlds together. Which I commend him for.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever the director is, man, y'all need to either like I don't want to say fire them, but like get them in some coaching or something because this ain't it. Like I especially like the voice director or whatever the case may be. I just don't think I think the
What
direction of the
happened there, man? I don't.
you
It's
know what
weird.
I wouldn't say the director. I would say the voice director is really weird. I think the direction of the game is actually really good. I think but yeah, like the voice director and yeah, maybe like yeah, maybe it's just like I don't know who directs
Montrell,
this the
we just. I
scenes.
think what it is, man. Like we need Jessie back in our lives. Like,
And she's not coming back, man.
I mean, she's alive though.
I mean, yeah, but she's stuck in Midgard somewhere, bro.
Fuck. Like, no. Bring her back somehow. Like, I hope she pops up in this game. I miss that character, dude. Like,
Well, the problem. So the game reminds me of old. So did you get what I was saying though? Like last week when I was like, it reminds me of an old dubbed anime, like the way how inconsistent the
yes,
performances are. Like that's how I
yes. Some of the
felt.
lines are really stilted. Like, they're not.
Yeah,
They're not being delivered like someone's trying to actually portray a real conversation. Like, they're just saying what's on the page. You know.
yeah, and it's really jarring sometimes, like you said.
And that reminds me of like Tales of Graces or something. You know, it's like from like 2011. You know, it's like, yeah, it was it.
Maybe this
I
game,
don't know.
maybe this game is a nostalgia game for people, and they just wanted this game in 2011. This game would be a great game in 2011. It's the game
Yeah,
we
this would have
wanted.
been a 10 in 2011 for sure.
Yeah, I,
Now
but
I don't like we have
I,
higher expectations, you know.
yeah, I feel like the way we do, like, okay, bro, nobody's been complaining about it, but doesn't the top of the screen where you're navigating doesn't that remind you of Skyrim?
I turned that off.
Okay, I didn't know you could turn it off. I'm gonna
Yeah,
turn it off.
because you can select between that or having a mini map, and I chose the mini map.
Okay, I'm
So
just gonna choose the mini map, but it reminds me of
yeah,
Skyrim, and I'm like, how come
I
nobody?
hate those. I hate those nav bars at the top of video games. Like that, it is one of the worst. It is so fucking useless. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, why would I want to see all these things in this weird rotating compass bar where they get overlapped and you have no idea which one is how far away and what the like
I don't know.
why
I
would I
feel
want
like
that over a mini map? I don't understand games sometimes, dude. Like, I don't know. Like, why is that the default?
because I guess it's maybe Skyrim. I don't.
I don't
I don't
yeah,
fucking know.
I guess so. I don't
Or I mean, I guess Fallout did too. Fallout 3. But I don't know. For me, open worlds have been spoiled as far as like navigation and stuff like that. Ever since Ghost of Tsushima, like no game is the navigation is better than that game.
yeah.
Like the wind guiding you to where you're supposed to
Oh yeah,
go.
man. Oh yeah. That was yeah. I mean, that was actually interesting, you know. And their side activities, as much as that game was an Ubisoft game too, like
Yeah.
their side activities were actually interesting though, like the haikus and the baths, you know, like like they were cool, like they were cool little things, you know. I just don't feel like this game has activities like that. And in terms of open world design, like dude, I'm like in terms of it being rewarding, Xenoblade is my gold standard for that,
Mhm.
and this game's not even close to that. Like it's not even the same ballpark, you know.
Well, that's I think that's interesting to bring that up. I feel like Xenoblade 2's party chemistry is stronger than this game,
Yeah,
and that's saying a lot, y'all. 'Cause
I can
I
feel
mean,
that for sure.
I don't
Well,
know.
I think that's the thing, right? We talk about Xenoblade 2 like we hate it, right? And we don't. It's a
We
great
don't.
game.
A great game. It's the weakest
But
one,
the
but
one thing I can say about that game is that like I wouldn't say the voice performances are bad outside of one character, you know?
Rex.
No, Pyra.
Oh, Pyra. My bad. Yeah,
Rex is not great either, but he's better than her for sure.
yeah.
But I
Pyra's
do
really
think the
bad.
rest of the party in that game is pretty strong, you know,
Yeah,
in terms of voice performances. And the villains are great in that game, you know, for the most part. And then I mean, if you compare it to Xenoblade 1, this is like, I mean,
I'm not
we're in a
comparing
different
to Xenoblade.
stratosphere, bro.
Yeah,
We're in a
I'm
different
not.
stratosphere on voice
I'm not.
performances and everything. Like,
Well,
it
even
ain't
just
even close.
party chemistry. You know what? I feel like the best party chemistry. This is probably going to be controversial for me between me and you, but I feel like 3 had the best party chemistry. I actually love 3's party a
I love their
lot.
party too.
Yeah,
I
I
think
love
one's
their.
is better, but
I can understand that.
I could see why you. I don't think they're that far apart though.
Yeah, yeah. I actually like 3's party chemistry a lot.
I could see people preferring 3 for sure.
But just off pure performance and chemistry and everything like that. Yeah, I feel like even 15 had better chemistry with the party.
Definitely.
Um,
It's just crazy. I can't believe I'm saying that.
yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah,
weird because remake they had the chemistry so well. Like I
they
felt like
did.
everybody knew their roles and
And it
everybody.
was so fun. The
And
party it felt like the party was fun, you know.
yeah, in this game it
Um
feels like
they're not fun right now.
yeah. And I understand they just blew up like half a city or a sector, but it's like and they're on the run. It's like Montrell, you wouldn't be having fun either if you were on the run. And I'm like, I get that, but I don't know. Just make me feel more connected. Like everyone feels. Maybe that's what we're supposed to be feeling like. We're supposed to feel. No, I'm not making bad excuses for this game. It fucking sucks. I don't like it.
Well, I will. Okay, to make it to on the in the game's defense, I will say in chapter 4, the part I'm in chapter 4, there's a really fun part that I am in the middle of right now that I am enjoying a lot immensely for in
Okay.
terms of story,
But
voice performance, and everything. The girls, Tifa and Aerith, are they get a lot of chances to have fun with Cloud, just him, and they tease him a lot, and it's fun. It is fun. Like so that's what I'm saying though. It's inconsistent because there's times where it just feels so wooden, you know. But then there's these moments where it feels like it's all ratcheted up, like everyone was really like bringing their A game, you know. So I don't know. So I'm curious to see throughout the rest of the game like how it is. Does it continue to be inconsistent like that? Because I feel like so far my experience with the game is right now is that the game is really strong in the set piece story segments of the game. It
yes,
is much less strong in the parts where you have freedom and you're in the open world.
which in my opinion, I don't know. With the game of this budget and this kind of expectation, there's no excuse that Xenoblade should be outshining you in this aspect of the game. And they do
Far
well.
outshining you too. It's like
Yeah,
not even close.
yeah, they do both the side missions and the main content as far as voice direction and everything of that nature very well. Even 2 does it really well. Like almost each unique fucking blade has a side mission and
Yep.
voice acting and very,
Dude, the
different.
world design in 2 is fucking amazing. Oh my
Yeah.
god, bro. The different titans you go to, like they're completely different biomes, you know? Like
The
it's
simple fact
crazy the
that
shit they're doing
you're
in
on
that
a
game.
living organism. That's
Yeah,
just
literally, and you can see it at all times. I think that's the kind of shit that I'm talking about, right? Like with an open world to make it interesting, right? Like Xenoblade has all these disparate things sometimes in the open world that are just like mythical almost, like where you can literally see the head of the Titan you're on, and it's like
yeah.
moving around and looking around and moving, and you can feel it moving if you just stand still, it's like shit like that. And then you see enemies in the distance, and it's like a level 80 giant gorilla monster that's like an endgame boss, and he's just wandering around, in like the starting area of the game. It's like they aren't doing anything interesting like that here. And the one thing they did in the second zone, there is a monster that is like this giant bird that like you can see at times, but it's so infrequent that it's not a consistent enough presence where it makes the zone interesting.
Mm.
You'll see what I mean when you go through it.
Well, I mean,
Um,
that's kind of what I mean though. When I guess I said unique monsters, like I just want more unique shit like that.
yeah,
I
because the
want,
open world, dude, the open world feels really empty and dead. Like it's
yeah,
not alive. It does not feel alive at all.
yeah, and I don't know. At least in the grasslands, it looks like they cover. What they try to do is they put a lot of hills and stuff like that to
Mhm.
cover where you can't the draw distance, so you can't see enemies pop in. At
Yeah.
least that's what it feels like to me, and that's why it
Yeah, I
feels
can feel it.
empty compared to like where like Xenoblade 2, for instance, I can see the characters pop in, the enemies pop in, but there are like a lot of enemies on the screen. There's a lot of
Oh
biomes
yeah.
stuff
Dude, it's
happening.
like an MMO. Like there's
Yeah,
enemies every fucking 10 feet, you know?
especially in Xenoblade Chronicles 1, when you first get into the open world,
Oh
you see
yeah.
like herds of
Running
enemies
around, and
running
they're
around. Like
being
they're
chased by like a predator.
yeah, yeah, and it's
Yep.
like they're at the and they have like a migration path or whatever the case may be,
Yep.
or and then it changes to night or whatever. Um, and the whole thing changes, the whole cycle changes, and everything of that nature. And it's just jarring that I don't know. This game doesn't really have that, and I'm like, I don't know. This is the one aspect of the game when I was playing the remake that when we were playing the remake, we were looking forward to this, and maybe my hopes got up too high. Maybe I was just like, and what's crazy is I even cut myself off from the game, like as far as expecting anything, and I'm still kind of disappointed, even after like
Mm.
not being fully invested in like oh, this trailer came out, this trailer came out, this trailer came out, this demo came out, and I didn't even play the demo until a week before the game came out,
Mhm.
or like maybe a day or two actually before the game came out. So because I just didn't want to like, I wanted to temper my expectations, and even after tempering my expectations, I'm still kind of disappointed, and I
Yeah.
don't think that's really good. I mean, the game's still a strong 8, don't get me wrong, but like this is their flagship game. You know what I'm saying? Like, is this the best you can
Well,
do?
I think this was, dude, I brought this up a few weeks ago. I think I said that was the question with Rebirth for me is will they maintain the quality bar they set in Remake? And the answer is no, they didn't. It's not,
Yeah.
it's there sometimes. And and the parts of the game that really matter, if you're like main pathing the game, I think you actually will probably have a great time with this game. Probably. If you stop to smell the roses like we are, I think the game actually looks weaker so far. That's how I feel
Yes.
about it.
Yeah.
Is spending time in the open world is making the game look worse than if I had just mainlined the story.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And it's just weird that people were like 100% the game, and they're like, "Wow, this is the perfect game." I just like, where? How do
I
you
mean,
see it?
maybe, dude. You've only done the first region. I've only done the first two. There's 6 regions total,
But
I
I've
believe.
spent like 12 hours in the game.
I
Like
know, but it could change later on. Like
it could.
we're talking about inconsistency, right? Maybe these early regions aren't as good as the later ones.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So it could turn around. It's possible. It's
That's
certainly
true.
possible. And then
Yeah.
maybe it's enough. Like let's say, for instance, that the last 4 regions are all just incredible. Like they're just like they're 10 out of 10 quality all the way through. That might make me reconsider what I'm saying as calling it an 8. It might turn into a 9 or a
Yeah,
9.5
that's
or something. If that
that's
was the case,
that's
right?
100% true,
So,
and that's plausible. So
but I will say I've played 2 regions. I'm not seeing that in the 2 regions so far. I am not expecting when I get to the 3rd region that there's going to be a sudden jump in open world quality.
This could be an
So
opposite of Tales of Arise, where we're like, wow, this game's really good. And then we're like, yikes. At the end.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's all. I mean, is that, you have anything to say else to say
No,
about Final?
I don't think so. I think I'm good for now. We can get into spoilers at the end. I don't know how much there is to talk about really, but we can do a short little segment on it at the end of the show. Yeah, let's just jump into news, Montrell.
All right.
We'll talk about Rebirth more. I mean, obviously we're not super deep in the game yet, so we'll have more thoughts as we get further into it, but let's get into news. So our first story is really sad. It actually happened like the second we stopped recording last week. Montrell saw it, and then it's just really sad news in general. So Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, artist for many things in games, Chrono Trigger, the Dragon Quest games. He actually has a game coming out next month called Sandland. It's based on one of his mangas, one of his earlier works. Is coming out next month, and he passed away. The announcement was made last week. He actually passed away early in the month, though, a couple weeks ago in early March. They kept it a secret until funeral services could be completed for him, and he was 68 years old. And this was really sad. This hit me pretty hard. As somebody, I think both of us have pretty strong anime backgrounds in our lives, and I think for me especially, like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z were formative into what I'm into in my life now. It was a really important series for me when I was young, and it has really informed the types of games I play, the animes I watch, the shows I'm into, and the types of things that I like to watch. And it just sucks, man. Like I don't know. What about you, Montreal?
Um, I did already like kind of grieve, so I'm sorry, y'all, if I'm seeing a little dry, but I already grieved over this. And this is a week later. I mean, yeah, like Justin said, strong anime backgrounds. Um, Literally my first or second, I can't remember which one came first. Either Sailor Moon or Dragon Ball. And the reason why I can't remember which came first is because when I was young, like 6 or 7 or something like that, uh on the local stations, this is before we really had cable and like the internet was a thing, y'all. The
Mm-hmm.
local stations used to show Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon back to back at
I
like
think it
six
was
o'clock in the
Sailor Moon
first,
was
right? And then Dragon,
first. Yeah.
yeah, they used to show it back to back in the morning, like 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever the case may be. And I used to wake up sometime early enough to see
Oh, that's
those
crazy.
episodes. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I actually got into Sailor Moon a lot more than Dragon Ball. And then I started watching Dragon Ball once I finished like Sailor Moon. They just stopped showing it for some reason. And then they showed Dragon Ball again on like WB Kids or something like that. And
Yeah.
then obviously it kind of went dark for me. Because after the tournament or whatever, after he kills King Piccolo, it kind of goes dark for me. It's a blur right there, and then Z just pops up for me. With
But
Toonami.
it only goes through the Saiyan saga on WB, I believe. It
Really?
wasn't until this is my memory of it, is there was a cutoff. It might have gone through part of the Namekian saga too. But I feel like it wasn't until Toonami that we didn't get the full till we got like the full Dragon Ball
Because
run.
I watched the same. I'm pretty sure I watched the Saiyan saga with Toonami. Like I didn't watch that with.
I'm pretty sure it was on WB briefly. I think it was.
No, it was, but I'm not sure. I know they were running concurrently for some reason.
But they only had access to like the first saga,
Yeah.
basically. And then Toonami got the Namek saga, and they had that forever. They were rerunning that for like 2 years, and then they got the Android and Cell sagas, and then they were running those for like 2 years, and then they finally did Boo. Eventually, it took a very long time for us to get the whole thing. Actually,
Yeah, I
um,
I just remember. I want to say the Saiyan saga was with Toonami as well, like the early
it
Toonami,
was
or
no, it definitely was. It definitely
yeah,
was. I'm not
because
saying it wasn't. I think WB had it for a brief period,
oh
but
yeah, I think they had it, and then I think Cartoon Network just bought everything or whatever. Or maybe the studio, Funimation, or whoever was controlling it, decided to give it to Toonami because they get more ratings over there or views. But I remember because my first Dragon Ball Z drawing that I ever drew was Gohan jumping out of the same pod or whatever, and I
Mm-hmm.
drew that from memory. And I remember taking it to school, and everyone's like, "You drew this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just remember drawing it." I used to draw a lot actually, and that's because I used to like draw Dragon Ball Z characters from memory, and I learned like anatomy from that because they always had those muscles and everything like that. So I had to learn that and everything. So um, I don't know. I was just thinking though. I don't know outside of maybe Superman and like DC, man.
Yeah.
Like for us, our generation, I think like for my parents' generation, right? It was Batman and Superman, then maybe Spider-Man, right? That was like their cultural impact or whatever, right? But it was so many variants, and it wasn't just like one person create. I mean, I guess you can say like Stan Lee and Kirby, Jack Kirby were controlling that, but like people really they weren't, in my opinion, like our parents weren't really like into that. They were just like, I know of this because of this or whatever. I don't know. I can't really explain it, right? When I say Dragon Ball Z and Toriyama and Akira Toriyama literally touched every aspect of our lives, I probably, if I had never watched Dragon Ball, I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you today.
I
Like
totally agree with you.
that's that's
That's
how
the impact. Yeah.
that's the impact. Like it was it's a timeline shift. Like if he was never born, a lot of this shit that we know in media and everything like
I
that
don't
would
think
be
anime
totally,
would be as big as it is in the West, dude.
it'll be totally different. We wouldn't have a lot of stuff. I
I
don't
don't
even
think
think
Naruto would exist. I don't think One Piece would exist.
it wouldn't, bro. I don't even think like the Matrix and stuff would exist, bro. Like a lot of
Yeah.
that shit
Yeah.
would just not
Yeah.
exist, bro. Like he he was like revolutionary the way the way um he was the godfather of shonen. Like
Yeah.
everybody is like wants to be like Goku. Like we remember, I remember we were talking shit about Sora, right? We are like, oh, he's just fucking Goku. Like 'cause he
Yeah.
literally was at one point, you know.
But Goku was like the first, I don't want to say the first character like that in anything, but in terms of Japanese animation, like he set a standard, for
Yeah,
what the shonen protagonist kind of was. And I heard, I've heard many people talk about this in last week. Somebody mentioned that like Goku's like the kind of the anime version of Superman, and
yeah.
he is like he's way cooler than Superman. But he kind of is though. He's like a static character that is he never really changes, like who Goku is doesn't really change over the course of Dragon Ball Z.
Well,
Um
it was one tweet that like summarized it perfectly. It was hilarious. And they're like, it was two tweets actually. And he was like, I feel bad for people who don't understand, who always wants nuanced writing and everything like that, but they don't understand that, powering up with some badass music in the background to beat the next boss or to beat the next enemy is just like it's peak entertainment. And then the next tweet was like it was like nice nuanced character writing, bro. Now watch me power up and beat your ass. And I was like, yeah, bro. That's how this all I want, man. I don't want, you know what? And it's funny, right? Because I think in my teens and then like my mid teens to my mid or my teens to my mid 20s, I was like, I want badass. No, I want nuanced characters. I want to understand people more and blah 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 blah. And now I'm just like, bro, I just want to watch people get beat the fuck up. Like that's why I love Jujutsu Kaisen so much because it's just constant. It's just constant fighting in that anime. I don't care about
I should probably approach it. It is more like like that show is Dragon Ball to like a T, dude. Because honestly, the power ups that the main character has gotten or the fights he's been involved in, they make no sense, bro. Like, there's
none.
no dude. The end of season 2 is completely absurd. Where
It
he fight
is,
he has like 6 major fights back to back to back to back to back to back.
and the manga's like that too. You read the
It's
manga.
absurd. So I gotta turn my brain off for that show. I think I will enjoy it more if I did because I think I'm analyzing it more like Attack on Titan, coming from Attack on Titan.
Nah,
It's
man,
like
you can't.
so
Nah, you can't do that.
nuanced and like has
Nah,
all this detail in it. Jujutsu
Nah, man.
Kaisen is not that at
It's not
all.
that.
It's not
I
that.
I
You know?
realized that from the first time I
Yeah.
like the fifth episode. I was like, oh, I just got to turn my brain off for this.
Yeah.
This is fun to watch, and that's what I do. And even when I was reading the manga is like that too. It's just straight fights. Like he does a little bit of explaining, but it just makes no fucking sense. It's like whatever, bro. We're just gonna fight. And I actually like that about like I actually appreciate that about Toriyama, like the way he writes Dragon Ball. But even Goku has character development. Like people don't realize that. I mean, we joke about Goku all the time, but he does have significant character development, especially in Dragon Ball.
Yeah, Dragon Ball definitely. It's less
Yeah,
so in Z, but
yeah, less so in Z, but like in Dragon Ball, I feel like Z actually a lot of the people around him get more character
yeah,
development.
Vegeta, Piccolo, amazing characters.
Yeah.
Amazing character development from there. From them.
Um, and I mean, he even came back and saved Super. So I mean, I don't know what to tell y'all people. Um, I don't know, man. It's just it's sad to see him go. Now I feel like I gotta buy Budokai 4 or whatever because it's like the last game. I think he was I don't know. I don't want to say he was involved in, but it was another game. Fuck, what was it called? Sand is the one that's based off his manga. It's
Sandland. That's the one.
Sandland.
Yeah, it's coming out next month.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna play that too.
I think that
Um,
game's gonna get a boost in sales actually, probably because
yeah.
of this. More than likely.
Um, he did the character design for Dragon Quest. He wasn't really involved. He wasn't the creator of Dragon Quest, but he did the character design for Dragon Quest. Um, Significant impact there. He did the character design, and I think he was a little
Chrono
bit
Trigger.
involved for Chrono Trigger, which is one of my favorite RPGs of all time, which really got me into JRPGs. Um,
He just has a
uh,
really distinct style. It's very obvious that it's him.
yeah,
You know, and it hasn't really been replicated. And I was trying to think about why that is though, and honestly, dude, it's the hair. It's the way he draws hair, dude. On even the female characters, like they just have a certain look to them. And then the eyes is the other thing with him. Like
well, to
they're
me,
just really distinctive.
I think his character design is just fucking peak, man. The way he
Yeah,
dresses the characters is
yeah.
just like for instance, to me, the pinnacle of his character design was Trunks. When I saw Trunks,
Everybody
I
loves
was
Trunks.
bro,
Oh man,
like the
I do. He's
jacket,
great though. He's great.
like like the hair, the jacket, you know, future Trunks, by the way, not you know, uh,
Not the
current
kid
time.
Trunks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not kid
fuck,
Trunks.
fuck kid
Uh,
Trunks.
but yeah, future Trunks is like peak, and I realized why it was peak too for a lot of people. You got to remember, Justin, back at the time we were watching this on a weekly basis, um, and sometime it was like months, sometime in between. So we went through the Namek saga. We were all hyped up. Goku kind of died or whatever the case may be. Spoiler alert for like the 12-year-olds who are even listening to this podcast with like what experience Z. But like, I don't think he really died, but like, he went to another planet or whatever, and we never seen another Super Saiyan up to this point. Goku was peak at this point, y'all. And then Trunks comes on the scene when like rebuilt Frieza comes back and she's trying to, everybody's scared. We're like, oh shit, she survived, or he survived rather, and everything. And Trunks kills him in literally one episode.
Dude,
And
that scene is just like
like
when he's
y'all don't
there and his
understand.
fucking his father's there too, and he just murders them both with no effort whatsoever, dude. It's just like, oh my god, bro. It's like
Peak at the time. At the time,
yeah.
that was peak, man.
There was nothing more hype than that probably in the entire series. Like, what a character introduction that was. I think the craziest part about that though is he does that to Frieza, and then Goku shows up, and they like power up for a second and have like a mini sparring match, and Goku's just like, it's just so clear that Goku just wiped the floor with Trunks, like at that
Exactly.
exact
He's
moment
blocking his sword swipe with the finger.
with like one finger. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I actually like the Cell Saga a lot. That was a really fun saga.
That was
Um,
peak Z, man. I think the
yeah,
Cell Saga is when it was at its best.
yeah. And I don't know, man. The way I don't know if he was involved in Super. I know he was involved a little bit, but like the creative ways he made Goku use the same move over and over and over again. Uh, like for me, my peak was uh Besides the one where he grinds on a literal beam and charges it up. That shit was so fucking peak and super. Oh my god, bro. That shit was so fucking cool. That's still like one of the coldest fucking
Yeah,
command I ever
yeah.
seen. But the other one for me, before that, for a long time, was the work Kamehameha he does against Cell, where he's charging
Yeah.
it. And he's like, and they're like, oh no, he's not gonna blast the earth with that. He'll destroy the earth. Even Cell's like, you're not gonna do this, bro. You're not gonna do this. And then he warps, and then Cell's like, no, and he just blows half of his.
half of them off. Yeah.
Dude, I remember how hyped me and my family were when that happened. That shit was so fucking cool. I was like, yo, he just fucking warped. And then we went back to I went back to school the next day talking about it with my friends and everything. And like that's another thing people don't realize, like this kind of like not modernized, but popularized anime. Like everybody was kind of watching it. Like even people who were like quote unquote cool, like were watching Dragon Ball. They're like, yo, did you see Dragon Ball yesterday, bro? Dragon Ball Z yesterday. Did you see what he did? Blah blah blah. You see what Goku did? You see what Vegeta did? It was just everybody was talking about it. It was like a common thing. And I think that's when a lot of other stuff started to get, uh I don't want to say like started to get accepted and everything like that. Cause then I remember everybody has this soft spot for me, as far as video games. Uh I think everybody has that kind of soft spot for like Kingdom Hearts, right? In my opinion, for JRPGs and everything. Everybody experienced like the Kingdom Hearts like fever. Um, Everybody remembers the song and all the other shit like that. They remember the first commercial they saw and everything like that. Because it was so jarring to see these Final Fantasy like characters next to these Disney characters, and it just comes together and works so well. So as much shit I talk about no more, like if something happens to them, I'll probably fucking cry too. Like if more actually passes or whatever. But for Dragon Ball though, yeah, um it's one of those things, man. Like I think the same thing would happen if, the creator of Sailor Moon, if she ever passes, like unexpectedly. I feel like people would be, like, bro, this is the standard for the magical girl anime. Like this is the standard. She set that standard. You know what I'm saying? Like no one can replicate. Everybody tries to replicate it, but they always just go back to fucking Sailor Moon. And like, Goku is the standard for shonen. Like everybody tries to put their spin on it, but at the end of the day, somebody's gonna power up. It's gonna be epic music behind it, and then you're gonna be like, "This is it. This is peak, bro." Like how many gears does Luffy have? He's in 5th gear now, bro. Like his power up happened. I mean, Naruto did the same thing. Bleach did the same thing. Like they try to put a little bit more nuance and writing behind it, but it's the same shit. Everybody just like, I just want to be Goku at the end of the day, and I think that's okay.
Yeah, it's all good. All right. Well, Akira Toriyama, rest in peace. You will be missed. I do assume that Dragon Ball will continue without him to some degree. I would be surprised if they just cut it off, but
yes, you know how that goes. They're gonna bleed it dry.
They will bleed it dry, yeah, most certainly. So, all right, Montrell, let's move on to our next story, which is kind of interesting. So, coming from the Insomniac leaks a few months ago, back in December, another thing has leaked out of this, and this is a Spider-Man online game and a trailer for said game. Actually, 2 different trailers leaked this past week, and I have watched both of them. And I don't know much. Oh, did you check this? Did you actually check this out? That when DJ sent this?
Yeah, I sent it. I don't know who sent
Or
it.
did
first.
you send it? Oh, you
Yeah,
did send it.
first.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought DJ. I don't remember.
No, he was talking. He was talking about it the most, but I sent it and I didn't respond to anything.
So what did you think of this? I mean, this is canceled clearly, so we're not getting it.
I thought it was coming out, and then then it said canceled. I'm indifferent about it. It would have been cool, but I don't know. A live service Spider-Man game.
I don't actually think it would have been that good. I think people are I think people
That's
are
why I said,
coping a little bit.
yeah, that's why I said I think it would have been cool. The appeal would have been there for like the first week, and then it would have died.
I don't think the combat in these games is good enough to carry a live service game. You know.
Yeah, I think it's a gimmick. If it was like an add-on or something like that, like if I didn't have to pay for it and it was just a free DLC that I can kind of jump in and do, I think that would
Mhm.
have been cool. But like an actual physical game, or I have to pay a separate game for it, I no. I'm kind of glad it got canceled because I think it would have been a really bad idea. I don't think it would have generated as much money as Sony would have thought it did, and that's probably why it got canceled.
Well, it might have been hyped at first. I just don't think it would have kept people engaged for very long, to be honest.
Yeah, because I don't know how would you do raids and how would you? I don't know. It
Yeah,
just
I
would
mean,
have
what
been.
would be the content? Like, what's even the progression for the game?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, like unless you try to turn it into some weird RPG that it's not right now. You know, it's like I don't like what would keep people playing the game. You know, because as much as we love Spider-Man and these Spider-Man games and they're fun, they're 25 or 30 hours. Like live
I
service
mean,
game, and we're talking about a game that the intent is you're playing it for hundreds of hours. I don't think
my
this game is engaging enough for that.
my thing would have been, instead of making this an online game, you can make it like a co-op game, but make it a single player game. But if a friend wants to jump in, because I wouldn't mind a Spider Verse game, but Into the Spider Verse game, I wouldn't mind that at all. Um, but like, I wouldn't mind it being like a single player co-op game. Like, I can play the game entirely with one variant of Spider Man or Spider Woman or whatever the case may be. But if my friend, if you want to jump in and help me, you can come in as
Mhm.
Spider Man 2099 or something like that, and help me out with the mission or some shit like that. So I wouldn't mind that, but it looks like they're going with the live service route, which, like I said, I don't think is a really good thing. People are online begging for this, and I don't know. We just got done with live service games, or we're like at the end of the era of live service games, and begging for this is kind of weird in my
I think
opinion.
they're just I think it's monkey brain type stuff. They're like, "Oh, Spider-Man's awesome. Spider-Man in an online live service game, give it to me." You know, it's like they're not really thinking about it very deeply. That's how what I think is happening with
Yeah,
those
that's
folks.
true.
I don't think they're really thinking because like even looking at this trailer, dude, it's literally just Spider-Man the game. Like I don't well, it's like
Yeah,
take down villains. Like okay, I mean okay, I can do that in the single player games, and they're literally showing the same villains from the single player games. You know, the ones that we've already fought. It's like okay, like unless you're doing something really interesting there, I don't know. Like it's just there's got to be some kind of progression in a game like this, and I'm sure they could have figured that out. I'm not saying they couldn't have,
I don't know.
but
I think they should have just made it as a co-op game, like a single player co-op game, drop in co-op, almost like a beat 'em up or whatever, where you can do couch co-op or drop
mhm,
in, drop out type deal. I think that would have been more, because that's kind of what I wanted from Spider-Man 2. Like if I'm at the certain part where I can do open world stuff and everything like that, like I wouldn't mind having you come in as Miles Morales if I'm playing Peter, or I come in as Peter and you're playing the Miles Morales part. I wouldn't have mind that. Like I wouldn't have mind like a co-op section of the game. Um, but a whole full, like you said, online aspect of the game and monetization, and we got to think about content and raids and progression and all that other shit like that. No, that's stupid. It wouldn't have worked, especially with the way
well,
Spider-Man is now.
do you think though we could see this in the future as part of maybe Spider-Man 3 as like side content?
Yeah, I wouldn't like. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind it as like I said. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all.
Fair enough. And yeah, I mean, what they should really do is incorporate this into the next single player game too. Is like actually let you play through the single player as co-op.
I think that
Just
would be really dope.
yeah, like I've wanted that. I thought they were doing it with two, dude. You know, the fact that you had Miles and Peter in the same game. You know, it's like the setup was already there. I don't know. Like I don't think they felt
Yeah,
like it was worth the effort. But
yeah, I think they dropped the ball in that aspect, or maybe they didn't have enough time or enough money, and they
bro, don't tell me they didn't have enough money. Like what the
I did
three
that to
hundred
trigger you.
million
I did that to
dollars?
trigger you. I'm sorry. I did that to trigger
Yeah,
you.
like they don't have enough money. What the fuck? What are you talking about, dude? There's no way. They have enough money to do whatever they want. They just, they're just throwing it away,
Well, they
lighting
also
it
did you
on
hear about
fire.
that patch they did where they released the game in debug mode?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they released the debug mode. Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing?
Oops. Oopsies.
Yeah, like, and they
Yeah.
patched it out now, but that was weird. I don't know. It was like a week after they did the layoffs, and people were like, "Whoop! It looks like they laid out the quality department because yeah." So
Yeah. All right. Well, fair enough. Let's move on. Watch out to our next story. So, Deviation Games is a studio that Sony partnered with a few years ago, back in 2021. And it was started up by two guys named Jason Blundell and Dave Anthony. And these were both ex Call of Duty devs who had a hand in some of the bigger modes. Call of Duty Zombies, in the case of Blundell, and then Dave Anthony was from Treyarch. They were obviously more than likely making some kind of shooter game at Deviation Games, but it has been announced on LinkedIn that this studio is actually closing down only less than 3 years after it was even brought into existence. So something went seriously wrong here, but just some context here. Blundell left this studio in 2022 and weirdly rejoined Sony in some unknown capacity that we still don't know what he's doing. He did not rejoin Deviation in 2023. He joined PlayStation, specifically the SIE part of PlayStation Studios. We don't know what studio he's working at, what he's working on, who he's working with, any of that. So he's been with Sony for like a year, and Deviation. It seems like the writing was on the wall with that when he left and then rejoined Sony in a different capacity. That Deviation was just kind of in an awkward spot and didn't really have a place anymore. So they are shutting down. Seems like effective immediately. So obviously, thoughts and prayers out to everybody affected by that. Is a sad another closure. We're seeing more, more of these in the games industry this year, obviously, than we've seen in any year in recent times. But yeah. So yeah, this studio is working on an FPS of some sort. We don't know the nature of it. This may have been one of the live service games that was being worked on. So we've got another one of these crossed off the list. Montrell, you have any specific thoughts on this one? On Blundell specifically, what he might be doing with Sony now?
unfortunately, I do not. I This is actually my first time hearing of this studio. I didn't even know they were a subsidiary studio for
They
Treyarch.
weren't they weren't owned by Sony. They were just an independent that Sony partnered with in like a second party capacity.
Okay.
So, but
Yeah, it
I mean, we
sucks. I
didn't know
mean,
anything about them. They announced that they existed, and they announced they were working on a game with Sony a few years ago, and that's it. Other than that, the only news of note was Blundell leaving, and then
yeah.
going back to Sony. That's it. We haven't heard anything else from the studio, so it's not like a huge deal, ultimately. But we have been talking about all the closures for the most part throughout the industry this year, so I didn't want to skip over this one,
Okay.
um, but it's also PlayStation related, which is interesting. There's some weird shit going on with PlayStation right now, I feel like, and I think
Yeah,
this
I
is
feel like
in line with that.
I don't know. I feel like they're undoing a lot of the stuff that Jim Ryan put in place.
That is definitely how it feels.
Yeah, and I actually don't know how to feel about that. I mean, I wasn't really a staunch supporter of Jim Ryan, like his decisions in Sony. But they did lead them to where they are now, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like, but we also did see the massive overspending. Some of the studios' egos were getting out of line and everything of that nature. So, uh, kind of had to be reeled in. I think a lot of studios, like Sony, was still stuck on a 2020 high. Um,
Hmm.
and now it's time to go back to reality and everything. So I don't know.
Fair
Sucks for
enough.
everybody though.
Yep. We will be keeping an eye on this as usual with the closures as they continue to happen. But hopefully we don't see too many more of those this year. But I don't expect that to be the case. So, all right, moving on. Montrell, we got to talk about EA. We're talking about Apex Legends again, and their CEO Andrew Wilson had some comments at a technology conference this past week, and was talking about Apex Legends, and he said something along the lines of they want to expand Apex beyond the traditional battle royale universe this year or next year to kind of bring more players into it. And my question is,
Are you trying to trigger me?
yes, I'm doing it in reverse now. No, that was my initial reaction to this news story. I saw this making the rounds everywhere, and I'm like, what do we mean? What does he mean? We already have, like, it happened in reverse. Like, Apex spawned out of something that wasn't battle royale. Like, EA hates Titanfall, bro. Like, they just want to bury it. They want to bury it as hard as they can, as deep into the earth as possible. You know?
I don't understand why. I saw it and I purposely ignored it for a reason because I did not want to go on like
You
a
didn't want to
20.
engage?
I did not want to go on a 20 tweet rant. I mean, I could do it here, but like
Okay, go
I
ahead.
I saw it and I was just like, what do you mean you want to expand Apex Legends? Apex Legends is in itself an expansion of Titanfall. Just go back to Titanfall. And then I saw that they're not even making a Titanfall game, but they're making another Apex Legends game. And I'm just like, why not just make Titanfall? I don't know, man. You have it's such a stark, like, sometimes like where are the developers' heads at? I feel like Mecha has came back in video games in such a vast way. Like, obviously, From Software kind of paved the way and rebirthed it. And that's like your entry, like right there. Okay, make Titanfall 3. You can even use the characters. I understand lore wise, the Titanfall universe has changed since Apex. I think Apex Legends is like 15 or 20 years after the events of Titanfall 2.
Yeah.
But it's like you can still, the AMC is still there, the Frontier is still there, or the IMF is still there and everything like that. You can still make a Titanfall game with the current characters we're using. I think it would be cool if these characters made cameos. Ash was in the original Titanfall. So it's like, I don't understand why we can't keep doing this. Like, I don't know, man. I mean, I would like a single player like Ash game or a single player or some type of, Lifeline game or something like that, or a Bloodhound game or some shit like that. I think those games would be cool. And I'm not knocking that at all. But it's like, you already have the foundations there. Just go back to what you do and then make it better. Like, you can make Titanfall 2 better. You can make Titanfall 1 better. You can make a Titanfall 3. People have been asking for a Titanfall 3. I don't know if when they revived the servers, were they trying to use that as a way to kind of scale out what people wanted to play if people were interested in it? And it's like, no, that's not a good way to justify that. Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I feel like Respawn is just very lucky. Their moves are not the best. They got lucky with Apex. They got lucky with Jedi Fallen Order. Like when I say lucky, not like their talent is not there. It's just like lucky.
No, they got lucky with Apex, no question.
The games popped off the way they popped off. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're so popular now.
Apex was a completely unknown quantity when it came out, and it survived initially off the strength of its mechanics.
Yes.
And it got popular due to how strong of a game it is to play, but
I mean, look how long it took us
to.
to.
Of it were always there, and in retrospect, I don't know why it's as popular as it is. Thinking about some of that stuff that they've done.
And look how long it took for us to get off the game, because I don't even play battle royales no more, because just no other, like Fortnite, for instance, right? They can add all this stuff. They add so much stuff to that game. It's ridiculous how much stuff they add to that
I mean, it's
game.
not even just a BR anymore. It's got like racing modes and shit and all
Yeah,
sorts of weird shit.
they still, in my humble opinion, cannot match the gunplay of Apex Legends.
Yeah.
That's how fun the moment to moment gunplay is in that game. It's so good. When everything is clicking, there's no hackers or nothing like that. And it's me, you, and Jet, and we're pushing and we're getting this intense firefight. Two of us go down. They're like, one of us take out all three of the players or something like that because we outmaneuvered them with a fucking tack. It's like, yeah, that shit feels good. Like, I don't know. They have the sauce. Like I said, Respawn, when I say they're lucky, I'm not saying they're lucky as they don't have talent, because you can obviously see the talent in all the games they make. I just think they're like Apex Legends, they were just super, like you said, they were lucky. But even that game, I was surprised to learn that they only have 5 people on the security team working that game.
That makes sense. That explains a lot. That explains a lot.
They don't even, they have a anti cheat, but they manually ban people. That's why it's just
That
the way it
explains
is.
a lot.
Yep. So it's like, I don't know. The moves they make are weird. And I understand like Vincent Pella probably has a lot of shit on his plate because he's running dice and he's probably still kind of like mentoring the leadership of Respawn. But um, I don't know. EA needs to get their shit together, man. Like, and maybe this is they're getting their shit together. I don't know. Maybe this game will revive something in Titanfall or whatever the case may be. I don't know. I
I
just feel
just
like
want
the
to see
whole,
Respawn do something else, man. I don't know, dude. They're so talented, and I feel like EA is just wasting. I mean, from EA's perspective, they're not wasting them, but from mine, they are. Like
yeah, I feel like there's
I
a
don't
whole
want
bunch
them to
of
be.
games that they want to make that they don't
Yeah,
have the funding for.
I don't want to see them be a live service Star Wars game studio forever. You know,
Yeah.
like I feel like they can do so much more than that. You know, but that's just me. So
No, I definitely feel like that. They're a very talented studio. They have people who obviously want to do different things,
mhm.
and try different things. You can tell, but they have to do it. They have to do it under the guise of a different of the same IP, a familiar IP.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, is unfortunately for us, and fortunately for us, Apex is that. I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, it is the perfect IP to do that shit. You
yeah,
can do tons of different uh genres within the Apex universe or the Apex Legends universe, uh because of the characters are available. And that's why I'm saying Apex Legends universe instead of Titanfall universe.
hmm
It's because of the sheer number of characters that are available and you know what they bring to the table and stuff like that. I mean,
yeah.
so yeah,
All right, fair enough. Well, um, if they make a new Titanfall game, we'll
they're
certainly
not.
cover it. But they're not
And
going to make a new
they're
Titanfall
not.
game. It's going to be called Apex Legends or Apex. I don't know.
Because people think people in the Apex Legends universe or who are part of Apex Legends and like Reddit and everything like that, they're like Valkyrie's a pilot, but I never see her fly any planes because she's a pilot of fucking mech that drops off the fucking sky. That's a pilot. Like pilots are these super uber fucking. These are elite level. These are almost like Master Chief level people. Like the shit that you got to
Yeah,
do to be a pilot, you're like elite level type
yeah,
people. You come in the
yeah.
field, you're a game changer in the
hmm
Titanfall universe, and that's what Valkyrie's supposed to be, or her father at least was a pilot, or whatever the case may be. So it's like, yeah, like I don't know. That's my thing though.
Tell him, man. Preach,
Yeah,
preach. All right, let's move on to our final story for the week. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is getting a roadmap, or got a roadmap of post-launch content, and they're getting a few things. So I don't really care about the details of this. There is going to be new story DLC, interestingly enough, coming later in the fall. There's going to be like a boss rush mode, some time attack modes, trials and stuff like that. Something called Divine Trials. and things like that. But there's going to be a new story DLC in 2024 later in the year, and I just like I have to say I love this game, and all I'm hearing about it is that it underperformed Ubisoft's expectations. Then why is it getting a post-launch release roadmap? If
I
that's the
think because it
case,
exceeded their expectations. You know why I think they did the underperforming thing?
yeah,
Because this proves everyone's point that no one wants fucking live action or live service games because Skull and Bones came out or whatever the fuck that game's called. I don't even know
yeah.
what that game's called. That game came out like a couple of weeks after that, and that did fucking terrible. And that was the quadruple A game, boys.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's just like it's weird. I like coming off this game, I felt like it was dead. We weren't gonna get another one. And now, I see this roadmap and I'm like, okay, so there's a game here. Like we might be getting more of this game, this series going forward, and that excites the hell out of me. Because yeah, this is so far, this is my favorite game I played this year is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Like and yeah, I think it's an excellent Metroidvania. And I don't know. I'm just happy. I was just happy to see this. It came out of nowhere, and I was surprised by it. Maybe Ubisoft was saying it underperformed so that people would go out and buy it. Like
Maybe.
maybe they were doing that. Maybe that was the tactic because you don't. I don't feel like you do this for a game that underperformed. Like if you had plans to do this, you put the kibosh on it immediately if it didn't meet expectations.
Yeah, maybe
Why would you
maybe
waste your studio's time for another year working on a game that you consider a failure?
yeah, I mean it's so far the numbers we have, it's sold over 300,000 copies.
Which is
So
not a lot, which really is not great for an Ubisoft game, but we don't know what the budget of the game was.
yeah,
So if
exactly.
they sold that off of a $20 million budget or $15 million budget, then they're actually doing pretty good there, potentially, but we don't really know what the budget was. So I don't know. I'm just happy to see this period personally. I will probably buy the DLC, the story DLC later in the year and jump back into this game too. So I'm excited about it from a content standpoint as well, in the sense I'm getting more content for this game. Um, so yeah, I don't know. You still haven't played this game, right? Though.
Nope, I have it though. I did buy it, so I did
Okay.
support it.
When you're done with Rebirth, just well,
Nah,
you're
I'm
probably
playing.
gonna jump into Rise on the Ronin, yeah,
Yeah, you know that.
and then you're probably gonna play Dragon's Dogma 2 after that.
Yep. I think I'm gonna skip Stellar Blade actually.
Okay.
I gotta
So
I
after you
gotta
play all three of those games, play this game,
yeah.
please.
You
I
know,
implore you.
I think I'm gonna skip Stellar Blade. I know we didn't put it on there, but I don't know. How do you feel about that game so far? Did you
I want to
see?
play it.
Okay.
I'm excited about it, actually. It's just, will I be able to get to it by the time we get to the end of April? I don't know. I still, because I'm playing Rebirth now, right? I'm planning to finish Rebirth. And then after that, I'm going into Unicorn Overlord probably immediately after that. And that game is supposedly up to 100 hours if you want to do everything in that game, which I probably will want to do because I fucking love Vanillaware. So I got to play that game, and then after that is Rise of the Ronin probably, and then I do want to play Dragon's Dogma 2. I never touched Persona 3 either. I still want to play that. And then there's Secrets of Grindia that I mentioned. Haven't bought that yet. Last Epoch, I still got that on my list for this year. So there's a lot of games, man. I don't think I'm going to be able to get through enough of those before April 26th that I can actually play Stellar Blade. So that game probably will wait a little bit for me, but and plus that's kind of one of those ones I do want to see what people think of it before I jump into it too. It's not a day one purchase for me. We'll probably wait to see what opinions look like on it. So
I'm not gonna really wait for opinions. I think I'm just gonna wait for a price drop. To me, the game like it was leaked because they fucking dropped the demo and then took it off the market really fast. But a lot of people did get to play it. To me, it looks like Sekiro, a little bit worse version of Sekiro, but boobs. Like that's what it looks like. And I'm
like
like,
maybe a little near in there too.
I don't even think it looks like.
You
To
don't
me,
think so?
near
Okay.
near is more close. Everyone keeps saying near. Near is closer to Devil May Cry than
Yeah,
from Software. Anyway, this
definitely,
game legitimately looks
100%.
like a Dark Souls clone, but yassified. Like,
Okay.
uh, it doesn't look like it. I don't know. It looks
I don't know
nothing
if I
like
get that. I
near.
don't know if I get that vibe. but
It looks
I
like a
don't.
Dark Souls clone to me, like a
I'm
blood. I'll say more so Bloodborne than Dark Souls. It looks like a
okay.
Bloodborne clone to me.
Fair enough.
I don't
Interesting.
get near from it outside of the character design. That's it. Like, that's the only that's the only near I get
Well,
from it.
I think there's some concepts and aesthetics that remind me of Nier a lot with the little robot that follows you around, and
Yeah,
obviously the hot main female character, um, and all that. So, but I don't know. I haven't really looked super deep into the game beyond the couple trailers we've seen in like state of plays. So
yeah. Like
we'll see what it is when it comes out.
I implore you, like, just actually watch the gameplay trailers. Like, because even for me, right? And I caught this when we were talking about on the state of play. They didn't show a lot of gameplay.
No, that's what I was. That's what I mean. I don't think it. I'm basing it off looks, not really like we didn't get to see a lot of the combat straight up. You know.
Yeah, and now that the demo has been leaked and people have been playing the demo and stuff like that, that's where I'm basing my input off of. And if you didn't see that, then that makes a lot of sense. If you
Yeah, I
didn't see
haven't
that,
seen that. Yeah.
yes. So, it looks like, yeah, like a almost like a Bloodborne type game or whatever. So I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, Macho. That's all we have for news. So, do you want to go into spoilers a little bit on Final Fantasy VII, and then let's I can do the rigmarole, and then we can jump into spoilers after that. Does that sound work for you?
Actually, I can hold off on the spoilers. So I still got to get a little bit further in the game myself.
Man, well, we can talk about the beginning. There's some questions coming out of the beginning that
Okay. Okay.
I'm curious about your thoughts on. So, okay, all right. So let me get it. Let me do the outro real quick. So, everybody, if you like this episode, please like the show, review the show, subscribe to the show, on whatever feed you are listening to it on, and please share it with your friends. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at Thundernuts01, and the show is at the Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com, and we will certainly answer it here on the show. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, this is the end of the show for you, and we'll see you guys next week. The rest of you, stick around. We'll talk a little bit of spoilers here, getting started. So, spoiler talk starting right now. All right, Charles. So the thing I wanted to talk to you about is the beginning of the game. All right, the game is very slow, which we both have said. There's not much happening up through chapter 4 so far that's interesting. the most of the interesting stuff happened at the very beginning of the game, the first chapter. And like I had to do a refresher for myself on exactly what happened in Final Fantasy VII because I haven't played the original game in like 15 years. So I remember now that that Cloud spends the entire game running around with Zack's memories, thinking he's Zack when he's
Yes.
actually a nobody, basically. Literally, he was just some random soldier. Like he was one of the he wasn't anybody special.
Yeah, you can literally change in the original game, y'all. You can literally change Cloud's name to your name if you want to.
Yeah. So he was a nobody in the original game, and that is clearly going to be the case here as well, right? Because everything before remake still happened. The Nibelheim stuff happened. That the reactor explosion happened. That was Zack in that flashback, not Cloud, obviously, right? But I think obviously things have changed though. Zack is shown to be alive at the end of remake, and obviously in the beginning of Rebirth, the first person you control is actually Zack, which was an interesting little curveball they threw at us.
Yeah.
There, you control him for like a few minutes, and you're controlling him trying to save Aerith specifically after the end of remake where they're trying to get away from Shinra and they got captured. That's where it's interesting though, because that never happens. That didn't happen in the game. What happened with Zack at the beginning here? So what is that? Is that because I'm thinking my brain right now is kind of thinking that we actually have a couple different timelines the game is showing us right now.
You know what I think? Because you just talking about that. I don't know, but they refer to him as Cloud in the game.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking maybe we're playing as Zack. Like the skin is Cloud, but we're actually playing like in reality Zack.
Like in
that,
the game we're playing proper right now, we're playing as Zack. Because they don't show Cloud in that Zack portion.
They don't. But I feel like that was Zack. Or maybe that was Zack, like we're the player seeing Zack, but that was actually Cloud. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
that saved like Aerith at the end or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
where else would he go and why would he just disappear? It like a lot of that shit doesn't make sense.
Well,
Uh,
because actually, sorry. So we did see Cloud at the beginning. I'm forgetting. That's right. He was carrying Cloud. Cloud was unconscious, and
oh yeah, that's right, that's right, that's
he
right. Yeah.
passed Cloud off to Kyrie. Actually, weirdly enough, which is interesting because Cloud was unconscious. If Cloud had woken up there, he would have been mind fucked because he would have seen Zack and everything. He would have had the breakdown at that moment, right? So that that's what's interesting. Zack's alive here, which he wasn't alive in the original game. He died in
Mhm.
the original timelines. He's alive now, so I'm feeling like that mental break with him is going to happen at a different part of the game. With him, where he's going to have that moment where he realizes who he is and he's not really Cloud. But I say that, and then I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, the setup at the beginning of the game like never actually happened on screen at any point in remake or after remake. So I'm like, what is that? Like, is this another alternate timeline going on where
Well,
Zack's the main protagonist or
so what
something?
part
Like,
never happened in remake?
where they got captured and they were in the helicopters being taken back into Midgar, you know? I don't remember that. That didn't happen at the end of the game, obviously. What did it happen at some point in intermission or intergrade maybe? And I didn't see that, you know?
I
Because like Aerith and Red are in one helicopter, and Barrett and Tifa got taken into the second helicopter, and Cloud was saved by Zack. What is the sequence of events there? That's where I'm confused, you know, because obviously we time skip past the end of remake at the beginning of the game when we actually get control of Cloud in the party. They're in calm, like nothing ever happened, you know. Um, and at the end of remake, this is the other thing. At the end of remake, they are outside of Midgar. At that point, in the beginning of this game, they show them being chased out of Midgar, and some of them get captured. You know, like 4 of them get captured actually, except for Cloud. So there's like an incongruence of the events there, right?
yeah.
Unless I'm missing something or I'm forgetting something, some cutscene or something that I'm not remembering. I'm afraid to look this up because it's going to lead to spoilers probably. So I haven't looked it up at all. I probably will if I don't get like an explanation that makes sense to me. But because I just don't, I feel like maybe it's a red herring. Maybe it was a dream of somebody's, you know, it was a flashback of something that maybe Cloud thought it happened and it didn't happen. Or maybe Zack thought it happened and it didn't happen that way or something like that. It could be some mind fuck like that. I don't fucking I'm just confused about it right now, and I'm trying to put it together because it's like the rest of the game so far hasn't remotely touched any of those events. It's not talking about any of that stuff. It's just
So
been an adventure.
so at
So
the
you know,
end, okay. I, so at the end of remake, right?
yeah.
Um, actually, what outfit do you have on? I can't remember because I'm not playing the game right at this second. What outfit do you have on right now
For
as
Cloud,
Cloud
he's got the shoulder pad with the
with the spikes?
not the those like cylindrical spikes that kind of jut out of the shoulder pad,
Okay,
and then
so
he's wearing the like blue, just that blue shirt with the kind of like the lines going down, and it's just it's kind of just a normal looking blue shirt, and then he's
okay,
wearing
so
kind of like jean pants. Yeah.
I think those are two different. I think we're on two different timelines. So I think the timelines merged at some point or whatever. Because at the end of remake, you beat Sephiroth, right? And
Right,
then you're
and they're
standing out.
outside of Midgar, right?
Yeah, they're outside of Midgar, and then you're walking in that field. Um, and then Zack walks. Zack carrying Cloud walks by, and then Aerith kind of looks up because they can't see them. It's like the timeline. They show
Oh, I do
you see what I'm
remember
saying?
that.
And they walk by each
They
other.
show. I thought that was so. I think we all thought that was a flashback to the point where Zack died in Crisis Core, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what we thought that was, but that was actually the beginning of Rebirth. They were showing us.
You think, oh, so we're playing in that
Interesting.
timeline now. We're not playing the remakes timeline. We're playing
Yeah.
Rebirth's timeline when Zach if Zach actually survives. 'Cause
Yes, right.
yeah, because when I was playing the beginning of um Rebirth, I was like, I don't remember Cloud doing this shit.
Yeah.
And it was so weird because I was like that. And even when you get like in the demo I was playing it, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So and then
You're
and
talking about chapter 1, right, with
yeah,
Sephiroth?
chapter one, yeah, with Sephiroth.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
what? Like for me, I was like severely confused. And I know a lot
No,
of
when I
people,
got to the end of it, I realized I'm like, "Oh, that's right. That's Zack, right? That has to be Zack because that's what happened in the original timeline,
yeah, that's
is
what
he
happened.
thinks that flashback is him, and it wasn't. It was Zack the whole time, and that's why he blacks out when he goes to fight Sephiroth, and he doesn't remember what happens because he was the one that slices Sephiroth as an ambush while he was fighting Zack. You know,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's what actually happens, and that's why they don't show that event happening
Yep.
in the flashback. And Cloud's like, I don't remember what happened after that. I just blacked out and woke up, and you know, Tifa
Yeah.
was Tifa was alive, and whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
And because yeah, because I was just like, and then even when Tifa said, I'm so glad Tifa said something. I love when characters like do shit like that. And they were like,
yeah,
that didn't happen. Like he
he
wasn't even
wasn't there,
he
but
wasn't
that
there.
confirmed it for me when she said that. I went and that's when I went and looked things up and tried to remind myself of what happened in the original game. I'm like, okay, they're setting up the original storyline that those events still did happen in this universe because everything before remake is the same. Like, there's no divergence as far as we know so far. Everything before remake started is still the same between both games timelines. It's
Yeah.
when remake starts that the divergence happens,
Yeah.
where the timelines start to diverge. But there seems like with Zack, there might actually be a third divergence happening, that something else is going on that we don't know about,
Yeah.
with
Because
him.
even in the Crisis Core remake, he still dies at the end.
Because he might actually be dead in the Rebirth timeline, but or the remake timeline, I guess I should say. Like, he might still be dead, Zack, but there might be a version of the timeline where he lives, and it's not the one we're playing through right now. Maybe.
Yeah. Because you don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't fight Sephiroth that early in the game in the
No,
original
you don't
game.
even see Sephiroth until in the original Final Fantasy VII. You don't even see Sephiroth until way after Midgar, like way after you leave Midgar. I don't even think he's introduced until past like Calm. It might even be Junon, past Junon. Like it's much deeper in the game. He's not even on disc 1, I don't think, in the original Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
Like, he's not even introduced as a character until way later on. They introduced him so early in remake. Like, um, obviously everybody knows who Sephiroth is, so I think they just were playing into that basically. But yeah, in the original version of the game, Sephiroth's like, he's not even involved in the story until much further into the game. So, and
Yeah.
Cloud does not bring him up. He's not even mentioned. It's when he shows up and Cloud is like, "What the fuck? I thought he was dead." And then the whole game kind of goes crazy from there, and it becomes this chase to stop Sephiroth from blowing the planet up with meteor, right?
Yeah.
Um, but they learn that information much earlier in the remake timeline, that Sephiroth's alive, and then Cloud gets the vision of him blowing up the planet with meteor at the end of remake, and that's why they're on the quest they're on now, and they're chasing Sephiroth. That was not the original reason they left Midgar, I don't think, in the original game. I think they left Midgar because they had no choice. But I also think there was some other reason. I think there was something with Aerith. I think there was something, they were trying to save the planet or something like that, and that was ultimately their goal. And then Sephiroth kind of got in the way of all that and became the villain ultimately.
Yeah.
I think that was the original impetus for their journey, which is not what they're doing in remake. So, um,
Yeah. So it's because it's interesting. I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of people should play Crisis Core. That's what I told DJ. I was like, you gotta play Crisis Core. That even if you didn't play the original Final Fantasy, it answers a lot of questions. It gives a lot of backstory to Sephiroth, um, through the perspective of Cloud. Um, and even like I'm sorry, through the perspective of Zack rather, and
Yeah. But
even
Cloud's in the game, right?
yeah, he's in the game, but he's the soldier. So that whole you actually play through that entire section uh in Crisis Core.
Oh, the Nibelheim thing.
The Nibelheim thing.
Interesting.
It actually expands upon that.
That is cool.
And you
Okay.
you play that you played through that entire thing. And that's why I got confused because I'm like, I did this as Zack. And
Yeah.
and on the mountain region, it's the joke where he's like, where are you, what town are you from? He's like, I'm from Nibelheim. And then he says, where are you from? He's like, me, Gongaga, or whatever the case may be. And that's where like Zach is from or whatever. And
Yeah.
then he's like, oh, I can't believe you're from Nibelheim. You're like a country boy. And he's like, what do you know about Nibelheim? And he's like, no, I just haven't been there in a while or whatever. I know a couple people there, or whatever the case may be. And you meet Tifa there. She has the same outfit on, the cowboy outfit.
Oh yeah.
She walks
Okay.
Sephiroth up, him and Sephiroth up to the factory and everything of that nature. And then the same exact events happen to where, he reads the book, he discovers who he is, he sees all the experiments and everything of that nature, Genova, all that shit. He stabs Tifa, and everything like that. Um, so and then he's about to kill Zach, I believe, and I think no, he blows up the village, and then Zach chases him back because I actually forgot about that part where Zach picks up the sword. He picks up Zach's sword and stabs Sephiroth, and then Sephiroth throws him away, like throws him off, like, and he's like severely damaged by that shit.
Cloud.
Uh, Cloud, not Cloud, but yeah, Cloud stabs Sephiroth, and Sephiroth severely damaged by that shit. And then Sephiroth throws Cloud somewhere, and I think he blacks out, or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. And
Okay.
then I believe they then Shinra um comes through, they clean up the whole thing, cover the whole thing up,
Yeah.
and now Zach, I forgot how Zach became the enemy of the state or whatever, but they start experimenting on Cloud. They turn him into a
Yes.
soldier.
Him and Zach get experimented on for like years, don't they? Like 3 or 4 years.
See, that part I don't remember. I just played remake like
That's
last
what
year.
when I was reading the synopsis, that's what it said, that him and Zach were experimenting on for like 3 years, 3 or 4 years, before the beginning of Final Fantasy VII, which led up to the Zach's death at the end of Crisis Core happens right before Final Fantasy VII starts.
Yeah, because that makes sense.
Because he helps Cloud escape, and then
Yep.
Cloud.
Well, Cloud can't remember anything. Cloud is unconscious throughout the entire time.
Yeah.
Even in Crisis Core, it's literally a mechanic to pick up Cloud and place him down and fight people because he's unconscious.
Oh,
He
okay.
can't do anything.
Okay.
There's a whole section where you put Cloud in the bed and then you go underground and you fight a whole bunch of enemies and you find a whole bunch of other stuff about Shinra and how it became to be and Sephiroth and all that shit like that. And then you pick Cloud back up, and all this other shit like that. Yeah, there's a lot in in Crisis Core action. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
and presumably all that still happened in this universe, this version of the timeline.
Okay.
So that's my assumption, because they have not shown us anything that indicates otherwise. And the fact that the Nibelheim flashback in Chapter 1 is exactly the same as what happened in Crisis Core, and they just show you Cloud rather than Zack. You're playing through it as Cloud rather than Zack, even though we both know it's Zack. That indicates to me that they didn't change any of those events. That I think within the basis of both timelines, that still all happens. So um, that's my thought process. And for whatever reason, though, things changed at some point at the beginning of remake, and Zack did not actually die. Potentially, I guess that's
Yeah.
the thing. I don't know, that first scene with Zack is just still, it's like a red herring. Like it almost feels like it's there to throw us off, because yeah, I find it. It just doesn't fit right now. We don't have enough information.
Well, yeah, maybe he's not alive. Maybe it's just like you said, maybe it's just like a memory thing. Like the same area they were in.
But you said Aerith saw him and like looked at him, right?
No, Aerith like kind of felt the presence of him, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense. Like he walked through both of them, and she kind of looked and was like, "I feel the presence of something," and then she kept
Oh,
walking.
like he literally walked through her in the same spot,
Yeah, he was carrying
but it was
Cloud.
like he was a phantom.
Yeah, he was carrying Cloud, and
Okay.
both him and Cloud walked through our Cloud and walked through Aerith in the party. And then she stopped and kind of felt the presence of him, and then she
Yeah.
just kept
Okay.
walking.
And I thought that was I thought that was a flashback of she was like feeling some remnant of a flashback of the end of Crisis Core where he's like carrying Cloud, you know.
That's what I mean. That's what it could be too. That's what I'm thinking too. Maybe they were just
Yeah.
showing that like this is the same area that Zach was at, where he was carrying Cloud, and now they
Yeah,
returned
but
back to
then
that
the
same
beginning of the
area.
game is him carrying Cloud in that exact moment into the city and hands him off and then goes and saves Aerith from the helicopter. Like that's what I don't understand. Like it's incongruent, you know? Like that can't be a flashback. Like it happened at the same moment that they were showing like right after them leaving
Bro,
Midgar
what
in
if they're
theory, right?
doing this? What they're doing this, bro? What if they're saying, "Oh, that wouldn't make sense." Maybe it would. I don't fucking know. I don't know, bro. I was gonna say, what if they're saying this is where the original game broke off, and then this is where the new game is taking place in? I don't fucking know because that don't even make sense. Because at the
Zack's
end
dead
of
in the original game too, so he wouldn't have been there. He wasn't
yeah,
there.
because but we don't fight Sephiroth this early in the original game.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
I don't
No,
fucking know.
there's some fuckery going on. I think there might
This
be another. I
this
think
is
there
the
might be another
Nomura shit.
timeline.
This is the Nomura shit
No,
right
this
here.
is the Nomura shit. Right. Will there be a payoff to what we're talking about? I don't think so. Honestly, knowing him, no. The answer is no. That will just be a red herring for the entire game, and maybe they'll pay it off in the third game. I don't know. You know, it's that's kind of Nomura's thing. You know, is having these hanging threads that make people like think something's happening, and then you know it turns out they don't
Oh,
mean
he did
anything.
so much in fucking Kingdom Hearts,
He
bro.
did so much in Kingdom Hearts, yeah. So I don't know. Starting the game out like that is extremely interesting. I just don't know if it's actually going to pay off. Um, so we'll see. I don't know. It's very interesting. It's got my brain moving. I just think the rest of the game so far has been it's so slow, and again, not a bad thing. I think both of us really like when our JRPGs kind of take that slow approach to their storytelling and actually kind of let the party get to know each other, and you know you're just kind of on a journey and there's nothing crazy happening, you know, you're just kind of going from place to place and experiencing those places. I like that for the most part. I don't necessarily mind that either. I do think the characters there's something really interesting going on though, I think with Tifa and Aerith in particular. um I think they both know more than they let on to the party. And they're not really being transparent with Cloud. They're hiding things from him in a really obvious way, and he doesn't really realize it yet. But there's been some cracks already with that, and I'm a little bit past, I guess, where you are, but I don't know. It's just interesting. It is interesting. So, um, but yeah, I don't know. I like the party though. I do think, as much as we were talking shit about the party earlier, I do think there's some fun moments with the party. Um, I do think Barrett kind of brings everybody together. He feels like the big dad of the party. you know,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and like because there's a fun moment in chapter 4 where Cloud does something by himself and everybody's watching him. And he does it successfully, and everybody's like, "Great job, man!" You know, like Barrett's like, "Good job, man!" You know, and Tifa and Aerith are like, "Yay, Cloud!" You know, it's like it's just like goofy and funny for no reason. You know, like they didn't have to do that. I just enjoy stuff like that. I like the party, like you know, kind of enjoying the success of each other. So
I think we
um,
do have to play Intergrade, bro. I think there's some stuff in Intergrade we're missing.
there's some fuckery in Intergrade. Like, am I missing something really key? Maybe.
I gotta finish Intergrade.
I just don't want to spend, dude. I don't want to dedicate the hours that would be required to watch a playthrough of that. Like, I really don't. You know.
Actually, a really fun game. I think her combat is like Yuffie's combat is really fucking fun
I
to play.
know. I just. I don't,
I know though. I know you
I'm
don't
in
have
the
time.
game already, man. I'm 20 hours into Rebirth. I don't want to go back and play Integrate. You know. I also don't own it, so I don't want to buy it either. That's the other problem. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll
that's
watch
true.
a maybe I'll watch a playthrough on
Yeah, just
YouTube.
watch a playthrough at work or something when you're on your downtime.
I don't know, man. Yeah. Cause is there really key information in there?
I mean, I'm just going by YouTube thumbnails, and people are like, "Oh, we're missing information," and it looks like Zach's in intrograde, but I don't fucking know, bro.
Zach and Intergrade. Let's see. Added an extra scene. Final Fantasy VII Intergrade added an extra scene featuring a crucial character. Interesting. Okay, I need to watch this scene. We got to watch this scene, I think. I guess there's one scene that he might be in that they added.
Send me the link.
Hold on. I'm finding a YouTube video right now. There's 8 minutes of scenes. Okay, this is reasonable. I can watch this.
Wait,
All right.
what if Sephiroth? This is just speculation. I mean, we all know Sephiroth is like powerful. He literally, you know, has a move called like the Alpha Omega or something like that. He literally becomes a god at one point in the game.
Yeah.
What if he went back because he saw the future and he saw that he lost to Cloud, and now he's trying to go back and rewrite the timeline
And change things.
Yeah, and that's probably why Cloud keeps seeing visions of him, because he's going back and forth in between the timelines. Because spoiler alert,
well, he's seeing him maybe where he originally saw him in the old timeline. Oh, because he sees him.
You remember the snake fight?
Yeah, before the mine. Yeah, dude, and he
saves him. He saves him.
That is weird. I didn't even think about that part. That is such a weird part.
And no one else, nothing else. Even when I saw that scene, I'm like, why the fuck would he save him? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Also, why is he there, and how does no one else see him?
Yeah, I really think,
none of the other characters saw him.
Yeah, and it's not like Cloud did that himself. It's not like a mental thing where Cloud's like, oh, maybe I did do this. Is like a schizophrenic type deal. Like maybe he's actually doing it, but like in our mind, we're seeing it through Cloud's vision. So you know how shows usually do that or whatever. But it's like, no, something threw that snake up in the air and impaled it on that tree, and that was not Cloud.
Right.
Cloud was literally knocked out because they had to revive him because he drowned.
Right.
So it's like, I think he's hopping in between both timelines. That's what I think he's doing. That has to be it. I mean, because why else would you save him? No, I need you alive because I need you to do this certain thing. I need Zach alive because I need him to do this certain thing.
Well, remember, he's looking for a specific materia. Sephiroth is the one that allows him to cast Meteor to destroy the planet. So I don't remember I don't remember the exact details of how he got a hold of that originally.
Well, he killed Air for it.
Yeah, well, that maybe he needs Cloud and the whole party for that, which might be why he saved them. Right. If your theory's right and he's coming back from the future or something, and he knows all this information, that might be why he saved them there.
Yeah.
If that was even him.
That's true, because you got those 3 hooded dudes walking around.
Yeah, what the fuck are those guys? You know,
nobodies.
They're Organization 13, man. Oh no! Yeah, Cloud summoned the Heartless version of Sephiroth. Oh my god, kill me, dude.
That's the first thing I thought of when I saw them. I'm like, oh my god.
Here we go 13. Again. Is this guy gonna pull out a double-sided scythe blade and start flipping around like a fucking jackass?
He's gonna be a fucking hit the character fight.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh my god, man.
No, that would be fucking crazy if they did something like that.
Dude, the payoff of the robed guys is that they literally are Organization 13. Like,
and it goes back to Kingdom Hearts 4. and Sora didn't get transported to Shibuya,
Nomura's
but
crazy enough to do it, man. He's
yeah,
crazy
Sora
enough to do it.
Sora did get transported to
He
Shibuya terminal.
did,
Like, well,
dude.
well
That's
that's what,
Midgar. That's
that's what I'm
Midgar.
saying.
He's in or something. You know, like he's.
He's actually in Midgard chilling.
Oh my god! Imagine, bro. Oh, that's amazing. I love
I
that.
mean, because you do fight. I mean, because you do fight Sephiroth in both games.
You do. You definitely do. Cloud's there too.
Yep, Cloud's there too, still fighting Sephiroth.
Actually, isn't Tifa there also in some of the
Yeah,
games?
and Zack.
Aerith.
Yeah, and Aerith.
And Zack. You're right. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. God, that's insanity.
They bet
He's
not do that
crazy
shit.
enough to do it, man.
If
He's crazy
no,
enough to do it.
if he does that shit, I will fucking riot. I mean, I know everybody else would be sucking his dick, but I will fucking riot. I'm like,
No,
how
just
dare you?
yeah,
How
don't
dare
do this
you?
again. Like he's trying to sell Kingdom Hearts 4. Like that's what it is, you know? It's not for some genius story reason. He's just trying to sell his other game. Fucking
No, I
asshole.
just don't like because you see the hooded guys too and integrate as well. I don't remember if you see them in remake,
I don't remember them in remake.
but you see them in integrate. Yuffie come across one, he's just like standing there and looking up at Midgar or whatever. Because she comes in right after I believe she comes in right after the avalanche attack.
Yeah.
And she's like meeting up with people and everything like that, and like, oh, I'm the Wu Tai's #1 elite agent or whatever. But yeah, like also I'm at the part in the cave too where they split up or whatever. The party splits up.
Yeah.
Why do they care about these people so much? Like he falls down and like, oh, we have to go find out if he's okay. Why?
Yeah,
It's
dude.
so
No indication that they have any tie to Sephiroth at all, too, dude. That's the part I don't understand either. Is like they're like trying to. They just assume Cloud's right that they're looking for Sephiroth. There's no basis in fact at all that that's true. You know, I don't know.
I mean, he did show up, but who could they be? So like, there was a character, right, that was actually pretty influential in the Crisis games.
Mhm.
Crisis Core game was Genesis.
Yeah.
He was one of the very first experiments, I believe, before Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Sephiroth was like the complete edition. Like he's like, I am the final edition or whatever. But Genesis was like one of the first ones, and then Cloud's or not Cloud, but Zack's master, I forgot his name, who gave Zack the Buster Blade, because that wasn't Zack's original weapon. It was another weapon they had, but that weapon was given to him or passed down from his master or his mentor rather. Angel, that's his name, Angel.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this thing with like the Genesis. They had Genesis clones walking around, and they had cells from his name was Genesis, and they had cells from Genesis, and these cells can do some crazy shit to people. And even like Angel's cells can do crazy shit to people. So my thing is like, are these just another version? Are these failed experiments of or clones of like Sephiroth, or maybe like Angel, not Angel, but like Genesis? Like that's where I'm going with it. But like I said, a lot of people didn't play Crisis Core, so that'd be like critical information that people would not know. You know what I'm saying? That'd be weird to put it in the game as like a critical thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
They did it in fucking Kingdom Hearts though, so
yeah, it is weird. And yeah, I don't know. I did find a playthrough of Integrate. It looks like it's 4 or 5 hours, so
okay.
I might watch it. But like Aerith at the end of the game, like I have this playing in the back right now. I'm trying to figure out how long Integrate is. She's talking about she actually is the one who knows about Sephiroth before Cloud. Now that I think about it, originally, like she knew about Sephiroth the whole time and just never said anything about him until he appeared. Because remember, she's the last ancient in this world, and they're the protectors of the planet, and she knows Sephiroth. She knows information about Sephiroth that she's not really telling the party. Basically, that like what his true plan is and stuff. And she comes on and says it at the end of remake. If you remember, so she says that he's the threat to the planet. Like he's trying to destroy the planet, basically. And that conversation did not happen at this point in the original Final Fantasy VII. So yeah.
And they don't even bring it up in Crisis Core.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a huge thing in Crisis Core. Like they just know we get introduced to Aerith in Crisis Core, but she's more so like, Zack and Aerith have a thing and they like each other and they're supposed to go on a date. He's like, I'm gonna take
Yeah.
you on this date after I get done with this mission. And like it kind of never happens because that's the mission where he ultimately meets his fate, like where everything happens, where he can't go back. He can't go back to the city anymore or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll keep playing and find out what happens. I don't have much more to say here, I guess, at this point. We're just speculating wildly at this point. So, is there anything else you want to say, though, in terms of spoilers?
No, I can't wait to play the game or play more of the game rather.
Yeah, I think the story's the main thing that's keeping me going right now. I'm going to be honest. As much as I've done the first two regions to full completion, I don't know if I'm going to do that with the remainder. I may not, because getting the platinum requires a playthrough on hard, and I don't know if I'm up for that right now. Like I don't.
Oh, really? Yeah, you might as well do
Yeah,
that on hard mode then.
I don't want to play through the game twice. Well, you have to play through the game twice.
Well, I'm saying like you might as well just play through for the story and then the second playthrough do
Like full
everything.
complete it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I mean, or you can do it now while it's still easy and then just run through it
Play
in
through the
hard
story
mode.
on hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's kind of my plan. My plan was I was gonna full complete every other trophy now, and then when I come back to this game someday, which I know I will at some point, I'm gonna do the hard mode trophy, and that'll be the platinum, and it'll just be like I'll just get to play through it and enjoy it however I feel like it, So, um, so yeah.
Do they have Final Fantasy VII on mobile? I know they got that
Yes,
fucking stupid.
they do.
Might just play the original one on mobile.
Dude, do you remember this at the end of Remake where you fight the giant whisper monster? I forgot about that, dude.
Wait, what?
You fight like a giant manifestation of all the whispers because they're trying to
Really?
stop. Yeah, and then you fight Sephiroth. Do you remember that?
No.
Obviously.
I don't
Okay.
remember that shit.
Well, yeah, because the whispers were the ones like they're trying to get the timeline back on track. Remember? Like anytime anything happened that diverged from the original game, they showed up and like tried to fuck shit up. You know?
Oh, maybe that's what those guys are walking around. They got the same kind of hoodie on.
Yeah. You think they're dudes? they're dude version of the whispers.
Dude, I do not remember this fight. Holy shit, I don't remember this fight.
Yeah.
Has it been that long since I played it? Oh, I do remember this fight. Okay. I remember this fight because remember I said this reminds me of the first boss of the Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. And then Cloud sees a vision of Sephiroth destroying the planet with meteor. He sees that. And then the new president's shown at the end of the game. And then they show the party
Obama.
outside. They show the oh my god. And then they show the party outside of the city.
Okay.
Yeah, they show Zack fighting the giant group of soldiers, and he actually won the fight this time and killed them all or beat them all. And he didn't actually die.
Dude, what the fuck is Nomura doing, bro?
Oh, what is this? Actually, yeah, so he's fighting and then he sees a giant explosion and then Midgar pops up out of nowhere.
What you mean Midgar pops out of nowhere? He's fighting outside of Midgar.
Yeah, but he sees this like giant like light explosion. You know, you see what I'm talking about? Zack does. Midgar pops out. He's like, what the fuck,
What the fuck is this guy doing, man?
I don't know, man. I'm so confused right now.
What is he doing, man?
Somebody explain it to me.
No,
without
they're going on a
spoiling the
deep
game.
dive, and I'm about to fucking
Yeah, spend the rest of the night like researching this shit.
yeah, just remake. I'm not about to do Rebirth because I mean they are trying to put my timeline is trying to put Rebirth spoilers on my
Oh
shit.
my fucking god, dude. Yeah, the internet. God, people are such a-holes, bro. Like, keep it in your pants. You know, like that. I'm seeing articles talking about like, shit you can do in the game, and they're just throwing it in the headlines. And I'm like, I haven't had anything major spoiled yet, but I've had some minor spoilers, and I'm getting kind of pissed off about it. Because yeah, it's irritating. So, but all right, Macho, let's call it here.
Okay.
We'll come back when we played more next week, and as we get deeper in this game, I'm sure we'll talk more spoilers. So, all right, everybody who's still here, thank you for listening this far. We appreciate it, and yeah, we'll see you guys. We'll see you next week.